mediums. I saw others. Some texted it to us as well.
All right, we're rolling.
Rolling.
"30 seconds, mic's off."
The Devil's Advocates radio show is broadcast under a time brokerage agreement between Devil Radio and Civic Media, Inc. Some portions of this program may be pre-recorded. Warning, you're about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves and corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. Now live from the Civic Media Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
And now, here's your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Partisan Primary Tuesday, Dom. Happy Election Day to you, little buddy.
Happy Election Day, Crudy. You too, Rich, working the board, working the phones, our fair audience. Get out and vote and listen to the Devil's Advocates for 3 hours a day. That is the one commandment you must follow. 844-967-2789. I haven't voted yet. I'll do that later.
I have not voted either. Rich, have you voted?
Indeed, I did. But 10 o'clock this morning.
Well done, Boomer.
And hey,
We're just teasing Rich before we came on the air. I'm sorry. I had to continue it.
I was told, I walked in and totally unsolicited, the guy behind the desk said, yeah, it's normally busy between 7 and 8:30, and why everybody's here at 10 o'clock, I have no idea. It was busy.
It was busy at 10 o'clock. Excellent.
Yep.
Good.
Because it's old people that vote in partisan primaries.
You know.
Good old people, civically minded, older skewing demographics.
Yeah, old people who can at least push a button in here, so I'm going to turn myself off.
Yeah.
Make sure you leave ours on, please.
Yeah, please.
Please. I always get a little jazzed up for election days, Dom. And there will be coverage starting right here at 8 o'clock tonight on your WMDX. Sounds like Todd Alba, Terry Bell for Civic Media will be doing the coverage when the polls close at 8, which means I can watch it at home. And there's only one thing, because there's a lot of different races, a lot of different primaries, and some I care about and some I absolutely do not care about, because I'm pretty clear that this is a year when I'm going to be entirely blue. I'm not ticket splitting. There's no looking for a good moderate
this time. No.
There's not going to be that going on, because you're either a Democrat or you're a MAGA. There's no middle ground anymore. There's no moderates. No offense, Todd Novak, but there's no moderates. So,
come on, who's Mitt Romney voting for? Who's Pence voting for? You know what I'm saying? Are they still getting in line behind the Trump? Wanted to hang the vice president. You think they're going to go that way?
Well, if I had a wager, I would say Pence is going to do a write-in either for Mother.
Yeah. Mother, do you want to bang heads with me? Yes.
Or Jesus, because Jesus is his savior. Very Christian-y guy. I think he might actually be a guy who tries to walk. Once you've had a brush with death, hang Mike Pence. Many people find true religion, Dom. Anyways.
Cheney, didn't I hear him talk to some people about writing in Cheney? I thought I've heard things like that as well.
Dick Cheney,
Dick,
war criminal,
or Liz, They're all better than
war
Trump?
profiteer and war criminal Dick Cheney. That guy.
that guy.
I'm
that
sorry,
Guy?
I'm not gonna. Just because the MAGA is god awful, I'm not gonna soften on the last evil despot that was a heartbeat away from the presidency, Dom, and George W. Let's not forget him. But those were kinder, gentler times by comparison. All he did was lie us into a war and kill 500,000 people.
Yes, I mean, but who's he voting for?
Trump.
Come on.
Tax cuts.
Yeah,
George has
it.
money.
That's
an
it.
oil family, right? He's going for drill, baby, drill, and tax cuts.
Well, come on, man. We've been drilling more than we ever have in the history of the United States under the Joe
I know,
Biden
and
administration. And these people are like, drill more. How much more do you want? We're like breaking records. And that's not a great thing.
And it's also warmer every day, every week, every month than it ever has been in recorded history, at least. I'm sure when the dinosaurs walked the earth, when Jesus was riding them.
Yeah.
Could have been warmer there a day or two, but
so yeah, I mean, there's only 6,000
recorded.
It was
history,
only 6,000 years ago.
Depends on who you believe, Dom.
Yeah.
But here. Let me get to my point.
Okay,
because I have a point.
Okay, get to it, please.
First and foremost, there are constitutional referendums on the ballot today.
Yes, there are,
and we need you to do the right thing, and the right thing is to vote no.
No, just say no.
Twice.
Just say no twice. Just say no. Do the Nancy Reagan. Just say no.
But my problem and my greater concern, Dom, right-wing talk radio has been out there clearly advocating for 2 yeses. How are you going to let Tony Evers do this in the future? And our friend Rich brought to our attention yesterday. He had been, unsolicited, sent a meme effectively of Scott Walker saying, you don't want a guy like Scott Walker to have direct control of federal dollars with no oversight from the legislature, do you? And I'm thinking, you bastards, because that's pretty evil. That's pretty good and evil. Politically, it's effective because it creates a knee-jerk reaction this close to the primary day. And the primary day is today. So you're voting today or you're staying home. But if they could create a knee-jerk reaction, and that meme encourages you to vote yes twice.
And Scott Walker wants you to vote yes twice.
Scott Walker, the actual Scott Walker, the real wanker, the chief of the Young Adolph's Foundation.
Young America's Foundation. Yeah.
And they are signatory sponsors, I would point out, the YAF of the Project 2025. They are literally signatory sponsors on that. And what's our buddy, the wanker, the executive director? So he's all down for Project 2025. Don't let him BS you in any other way. But to see his face.
I know, man. You got a little trigger,
yes,
bro.
because you don't want a guy like Scott Walker to have unchecked power. And that's effectively what he had, because, of course, when he was in charge, the Republicans let him do whatever. Whatever. So it's so evil. It's so effective. That's my fear. And between them and Righty Whitey Talk Radio that have absolutely clearly made avocation for yes votes, doing the wrong thing as far as I'm concerned. And Dom, here's my greater point. You and I are the only good ones here. Like, our little show is trying to fight all the forces of evil in the state, in this world. And I don't know that we got that sort of lift. I mean, I'm basically lifting for 2 now. You help at bar time. I mean, heavy lifting.
I come in the third hour. Yeah, I come in strong, swinging hard.
But my greatest fear is today we're going to tune in for the coverage on Civic Media, and our buddies Todd and Terry Bell, the news director, are going to inform us the constitutional referendums have passed. And if I had to predict the margin, it'd be like 52-48. And I think not because, the thoughtful amongst our audience. I mean, if you're voting yes, quit listening. I give you permission. You're a lost soul. Don't do it. But if you're doing the right thing, you're voting no, or you've already voted no, then there's hope for you. There's salvation for you. I don't care on the broader issues, if you think you're an R and a D or whatever. But what we don't want to do in a time of pandemic, in a time of emergency, is to put legislative bureaucratic hurdles between the governor and actually the disbursement of federal funds to where they're needed in an emergency, because that's when we get the federal funding.
Yeah, but that's
This
when you
is
can.
not
That's when,
everyday stuff.
I mean, you can't let a good emergency go to waste, Crute. I mean, if the legislature doesn't slide in there and put themselves in between the funds and the use, and presumably for what reason do you think? Well, they want to control the money, not because they're more efficient with it. Certainly not. We know what the reaction was to the COVID pandemic. Not efficient at all. Not because they're hardworking and showed up every day trying to get the job done. Not because they care so much about their constituents, because it's a power grab by the legislature. And if this thing passes, the distribution of emergency needed funds will certainly be slowed down.
And let's not forget, $125 million for remediation of PFAS, these forever chemicals, in our waterways in the state of Wisconsin. Money's been allocated. The laws have been passed. It's in the budget. And the Republican-controlled Joint Finance Committee will not distribute the money. They will not spend the money. And you know why, Dom?
Why,
You know
Crute?
why?
Why, man?
Because in its current form, with this money comes strings. Those that perpetrated the pollution might be held accountable. And they don't want those strings attached. They want whoever made the mess to have no liability for the future remediation.
They want to
of the mess.
indemnify the polluters who created the PFAS problem in the first place, that's causing the taxpayers to spend hundreds of millions of dollars to fix up their mess, and they want to indemnify themselves of any liability with the help of the Republicans.
Polluters.
With the help
Such
of the
a dirty
Republicans.
word. Hard-working job creators and Republican donors. They're the good people, according to the Joint Finance Committee, that is blocking the remediation of PFAS in Wisconsin. This is the specific reason why we don't want you to ever vote yes on this referendum.
They are the Republicans holding firm to their stance to eliminate government waste and regulation by what? Allowing PFAS to continue in our waterways and not holding those who are literally responsible for the pollution to be responsible for them. Gotcha.
I think it's the example that makes the case, Tom.
Certainly is.
Vote no. Two
No.
no's.
No. Just say no.
And if I tune in later and I find out someone that's listening to this show voted yes, I'm going to be very disappointed. You'll be banned. You'll be out there on CJ Island.
I'm going to make me angry, and you wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
Folks, we're the Devil's Advocates. We're not trying to make you angry. We're trying to inform you, educate you, entertain you, of course, and, of course, communicate with you. It's a town hall right here where Wisconsin comes to talk. 844-967-2789. And I'm reaching out, trying to book fine guests as we speak. I got some work to do. Let's take a quick break.
I think I'm going crazy.
Mad Radio 92.7 WMDX.
At Chance Design Build, we provide remodeling done well with love. Our commitments extend beyond our workplace and your home to support our community. We judge people by the content of their character, not by the color of their skin, and we believe all humans deserve quality public education, childcare, and healthcare. But what do you believe in? At Chance Design Build, we believe every person must have the opportunity to thrive. If you're thinking about remodeling your home, go to chancedesignbuild.com to learn more about our commitments to you, your home, and our community.
It is one of the most important business decisions you will make, selling your commercial building. It should involve making a plan to maximize your sale price through effective and responsive marketing. Your plan should also include a clear understanding of tax consequences. You need the professionals at Altus Commercial Real Estate to guide your success. Experienced and responsive professionals make
You wouldn't clean a dirty shirt by running a white cloth over the top of it. Nor would you try to get it clean by sprinkling chemicals and rubbing it in. For a real clean, you need hot water, agitation, and a cleaning agent, just like your laundry. For a fresh, healthy clean with no residue, call Zero Res Madison or schedule online. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
Tons of glass artists share the same passion for eye-catching art as Ignite Glass and Gifts, so we're showcasing their work alongside our talented local artists and our in-house Ignite artists. The latest techniques, the hottest colors, and mind-blowing designs are here for you to enjoy. Madison's favorite for glass, gifts, and vape, Ignite Glass and Gifts, Monona Drive, Williamson Street, and Odana Road, plus IgniteGlassandGifts.com. Do your eyes a favor and see this stuff.
Kicking ass and taking names since the Wisconsin Uprising. The Devil's Advocates.
And welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Love it when you join the political party right here on the lines or text. Both of them work, 844-967-2789.
Dom, I was just firming up a fine guest for the happy hour today, 5 o'clock. John Nichols from the Cap Times, from The Nation. He's got a little op-ed piece at the Cap Times today. He thinks Kamala can win Wisconsin. I think Kamala's in great shape to win Wisconsin.
Yeah.
I think the whole elective cycle has been turned on its ear. I am very excited about Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. I think she's up in all the blue wall states that she will need to win the presidency. So I'm feeling great about the November, Tom. But this partisan primary day today, man, I am very concerned that people haven't been well informed on the need to vote no on the constitutional amendments. And I want to talk about this. John Nichols also at 5 o'clock. He's going to stick around for a couple segments. Says, let's talk some no. No.
No.
Cap Times editorial, the entirety of the editorial board writes this down. Assembly Speaker Robin Vos is no fool. He knows that he could not be elected governor of Wisconsin. Yet Vos desperately wants to assume the powers of the governor. To that end, the career politician from Rochester has conspired with his fellow legislative Republicans to place a pair of referendums on the August 13th primary ballot. That's today, folks. If approved, they would give the speaker and his allies the sole power to decide how federal funds have been allocated for the use of all Wisconsinites will be spent. Do you hear that? These constitutional amendments are whether or not Robin Vos should have all the power over federal allocations in time of emergency. No. But anyways, a little bit more here. This scheme seeks to upend the most basic premise of Wisconsin's constitutional system of checks and balances, which holds that the governor, who is elected by the voters of the whole state, is the official who should make decisions about how to spend money that has been allocated to serve the interest of the whole state. See how that would work, Dom?
The whole state. Yes. The entirety of the state.
Vos, who was elected by just one of the state's 99 assembly districts and leads a majority that relies upon gerrymandered legislative districts to maintain power, wants to be able to cut backroom deals that steers the money in directions favored by legislative insiders and campaign donors. You know, the way baseball's supposed to be played. That will waste money, undermine public service, and introduce cronyism and favoritism into the process of allocating taxpayer dollars. Wisconsinites can veto Vos's power play by voting no and no on the ill-advised constitutional amendments that will appear on Tuesday's ballot. And doing so will assure the officials in the Capitol continue to respect the Constitution as it is currently written and serve the best interest of the people rather than the sleazy schemes of Robin Vos. And that's not even Crute saying it. That's the Cap Times editorial board.
It's a scheme.
Sleazy schemer.
Anytime these Republicans feel the need to try to alter the Constitution, you should certainly question their motives and certainly question what they're trying to do. If this was such an issue and such a concern for the Republicans, why wouldn't they have brought it up when Scott Walker was the governor and they had the legislative majorities where it could easily have passed the legislature, the House, Senate, gotten to the governor's desk and signed by Governor Walker to recuse, to give up this power, give up this constitutional way that we have been conducting business in this state for a very, very long time. If this was a priority, if this was such a concern for the GOP in Wisconsin, why didn't they do it then?
You mean during the lame duck? I mean, they tried to hamstring Governor Tony Evers in any way they could, Dom. Between Walker, Mr. Sour Grapes on his way out the door.
Duck, man, I mean, how many Walker was in there? How many times was he elected? They had plenty of time. If this was an issue, they had plenty of time to be able to jam this through. Did they not?
To clean up the allocation, well, it only became an issue when there was a Democratic governor.
Oh, okay. So now I'm starting to kind of see what's going on here. All right. Thank you for that. I thought for a minute that they were being disingenuous.
I have an exercise today for the audience. I'd like you to play along. I want you to go to the text line, please, and text to Crute, because Dom's not going to read it. Dom doesn't read the text line. But I do. I'm reading it right now. Here's one from WDM.
Well, the text
WMDX.
line, the number, 844-967-2789.
Here's a text coming in. Come on, Crute. It's not just the old people getting out for the fall primary. Well, it's a midsummer partisan primary is the problem. This texter says, my 18 and 21-year-old kids voted before noon. Well, they're better citizens than either Dom or I, because we're both going after the show. Again, we would encourage them to vote no. And Jeff from Shorewood addresses this in a longer text. I just want to see you, everyone in the audience. I want to hear that this message has gotten through to you, that we have some impact on your life. Please just text back to me, vote no. Or you can do it twice. Vote no, no. You know, 2 no's, because you're going to vote twice no. Jeff from Shorewood on the text line says, welcome back, Dom, you slacker. I rarely vote yes for a constitutional amendment. I voted this morning, Shorewood High School, 10:30 a.m. I showed my ID, walked to one of the many open spots, was thinking about voting against Hovde, but I wanted to vote for county treasurer or something. Both Dems. Evidently, the guy older than I at the machine didn't understand the partisan nature of the election, and his ballot got booted. So it took me an extra 2 minutes to get my no vote submitted successfully. And you've done it here on the text line as well, Jeff. I appreciate that. You were the first one, and I'm encouraging others to do it. Michael from the 608's already done so. The list of all the special powers given to Walker would have been nice contrasted to those removed once Ever got elected. Vote no. And more like that. If I could vote, hell no, I would. Going into vote right now. Go do it. Vote
hell no.
Vote hell to the no. Devil's advocates, I want to know that you're voting no today. I mean, I've heard it many times, mostly in the bedroom, but no is the word of the day.
No.
Tell me twice. No.
Then you know you mean it.
I do. Are you sure, honey? No. Second no. Okay.
Okay. I just want to make sure I heard you properly the first time. Was that a no?
Well, if you don't ask at least twice, you're not trying.
No and no. Just
no and no.
Say no.
Nancy Reagan style. Twice. Doubleheader style. More devil's advocates. It's Dom Crute. A no for each of us.
Madison's home for Matnair on air.
Your news, conversations, and a whole lot of fun. It's all on your local Civic Media radio station or the Civic Media app.
Farm Rescue, a nonprofit organization that provides free planting, haying, harvesting, commodity hauling, and livestock feeding assistance to farm families who have experienced a major illness, injury, or natural disaster, has officially added Wisconsin to its growing list of service states. I'll have that story right after this.
Beef producers, make plans now to attend the Stockmanship and Stewardship event in Lancaster on August 28th and 29th. This will be an action-packed agenda featuring topics from cattle health and well-being to pasture management and land stewardship, complemented by low-stress cattle handling demonstrations. operations. From cow-calf to feedlot topics, it's covered and close to home. Go to www.stockmanshipandstewardship.org for more details and to register.
Dan Erdman, Marketing Program Manager at Farm Rescue, shares more.
Yeah, so the plan right now is to have our full list of services as of 2025. So it's as you mentioned, it's planting. We can make hay. We have a hay baler and tractors to do that. We do some commodity hauling, livestock feeding assistance, and then of course the harvest assistance. So it's always just been about trying to fill a need wherever there is a need in agriculture, and so our list of services has grown as we've grown throughout the country here. And so yeah, the plan is to have kind of the full list of services available as of 2025 to everyone in Wisconsin.
That's Dan Erdman along with us. He's the Marketing Program Manager at Farm Rescue. I'll have more agriculture news right after this.
When it comes to growing soybeans, you need an advantage. And with Zetavo soybean seed, you get a big one. 3.4 bushels per acre big. It's a yield advantage made possible by BASF Genetics, proprietary germplasm and industry-leading seed quality. Talk to your retailer today about staying ahead of the game with Zetavo's soybean seed.
I'm Charity Seebecker for the Midwest Farm Report with a look at your agribusiness news. Midwestern dairy businesses can prepare now to apply for a total of up to $4 million across 2 direct-to-business grant programs offered by the Dairy Business Innovation Alliance. These open on August 19th. The Dairy Business Builder and Dairy Industry Impact Grant programs are administered by DBIA, a partnership between Wisconsin Cheesemakers Association and the Center for Dairy Research. Applicants may apply to both grant programs and are eligible to receive awards of up to $100,000 from each offering. You can learn more as well as find other agribusiness news stories at MidwestFarmReport.com. While you're there, be sure to sign up for our e-newsletter as we deliver 5 agriculture news stories to your inbox every single day, 365 days a year. For the Midwest Farm Report, I'm Charity Seebecker.
This is your hometown radio, refreshed, keeping you informed, entertained, and connected locally across the Civic Media Network.
Mostly sunny and warm today, with high temperatures climbing into those mid-80s. Winds will be light and variable, with isolated sprinkles possible this afternoon. And overnight, patchy fog is possible. We put today on repeat for tomorrow as well before we get soaked on Thursday. I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot, currently 82 degrees.
DevilRadioswag.com. You've asked for it for over a decade. We've finally gotten off our dead and responded. DevilRadioswag.com. T-shirt and Dom's favorite slimming black, white or gray. DevilRadioswag.com. Crew necks, hoodies, coffee mugs, exclusive merchandise of the greatest radio show ever. Only at DevilRadioswag.com, because we got bills too. Wisconsin summers are too short, so this year we decided to make the most of it. Crute called Go Landscaping, and Cody and his team will take it from here. Go Landscaping can bring your jungle under control or create the lasting outdoor living space you've always dreamed about. Specializing in stone and paver construction, Go Landscaping are the landscaping pros you need. Do what Crute did. Call Cody at Go Landscaping today to get started. 608-807-9245.
Hey everybody, join us next time. We'll be live on location at Volk Field with the Wisconsin Air National Guard's Northern Lightning, a great training exercise.
My name is no, my sign is no, my number is no. You need to let it go. You need to let it go.
When they go low, we get high. The Devil's Advocates.
What you gonna say? You ain't running game.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show, partisan primary Tuesday edition. Some of you have important votes to make in partisan primaries. But most importantly, there are 2 constitutional referendums on the ballot. And your job today is to vote no, and then to reassure yours truly that this fine radio show is having some impact on your life by texting 844-967-2789 that you got the message loud and clear from Crute and Dom. The Devil's Advocates are telling you 2 no's, double no's. No, no.
Just say no.
So please text. And I've been reading many of your texts, and lots of them are clever. Someone said devil's advocates. Yes, yes. Well, we're okay with that.
Yeah, we'll take it.
And I did check my own text line because my phone's lighting up today, being election day. I get a few prompts. Here's one. Hola, Michael. Soy Samantha de Voces de la Frontera Action. And then I read down a little bit. No. Voces de la Frontera's Action Committee apparently telling people, go vote no, those, that may use English as a secondary language. I just got one, and I literally thought someone was reacting to what we were saying, but I'm not clear who the group is. Some third-party group. Not being very clear, but they sent me a vote no to MAGA politicians. Vote no on question 1. Vote no on question 2. Vote today on the back of your ballot. Don't forget to turn it over and vote no twice. And this one, hi, Michael. This is Sandra from Project Wisconsin's Constitution. Vote no. I agree with you. Today is election day. If you have not voted already, you still have time till 8 p.m. Make sure to vote no on questions 1 and 2 and stop the MAGA power grab. And then they tell me how to stop these text messages that keep
Stop.
invading my phone. Yes, it's election day. Please stop now. I get the point. Vote no. But, I'm also going to make a small ask of you. You don't have to text stop. Just no twice. The 844-967-2789. It would let me know that we're moving hearts and minds, and maybe even votes in this state. That's all I live for, really.
I know, man.
Hanging out with you, having a couple drinks at the end of the day.
The good life,
Certainly
man.
not
It's
the
good life.
paychecks. Certainly not the paychecks.
It's the camaraderie, of course. And it's
It
our
is.
fair audience.
It is. It's them as well. 844. You as well. I misstated. You're not them. Unless you're CJ. You're amongst the them. Because CJ's voting yes today. Numbskull that he is. 844-967-2789. It's a phone number. It's a text number. Dom, what I hear about ballot irregularities in Wisconsin.
Oh my goodness. It's like it's actually happening. We have the Republicans' dream has come true / nightmare. You know how they're always about ballot and elections and integrity. Well, Jesse OPP, appointing our friend over at the Journal Sentinel, ballots printed for the town of Summit in Douglas County contained the wrong assembly district. County Clerk Casey Joe Lundgren said in a news release, leaving no time to print the new ballots for residents voting in Tuesday's primary. The town has about 700 registered voters. Now, the ballots contain the state's 73rd Assembly District, but it should instead contain the 74th as the result of changes under the state's new legislative maps. The 73rd District has a contested Democratic primary, and the 74th has a contested Republican primary. Now, according to the county clerk, candidates were notified. All other races on the ballots were listed correctly, and all other Douglas County ballots are correct. Now, Lundgren said there is no plan to issue corrected ballots today because there isn't time to print new ones. Absentee ballots have already been circulating for weeks, and voting equipment has already been programmed and tested. Voters should proceed as planned, she said, but should contact the county clerk's office with any questions. Yeah, is my vote going to count? Here's a question. Appointing continues. All other votes cast in the town of Summit ballots, aside from the assembly race, will count. The Wisconsin Elections Commission Administrator Megan Wolf told reporters on a call Tuesday afternoon, my office is committed to transparency and accuracy. Our protocols will be thoroughly reviewed, and any procedures that are identified that could eliminate this type of error in the future will be implemented, Lundgren said in a statement. Now, the decision on how to handle the issue is under the jurisdiction of the local clerk and the local board of canvassers, Wolf said. However, the commission could eventually weigh in if a legal challenge is filed. Wolf said this, I don't know what the remedies might look like that could be offered if this is something that's litigated. To my knowledge, I'm not aware of something quite like this, of there being any sort of a precedent for exactly what happens in this situation. State statutes do not give us a roadmap for the scenario. The county clerk, the municipal clerk, and the ballot canvassers, the chief inspectors, they're all going to have to work together in part of a public process to figure out exactly the best course of action is here. Wolf says she's not aware of any identical issues in any other parts of the state. The best way for voters to verify that the ballot they've received includes the correct race is to check with the state's election website, myvote.wi.gov. Wolf concludes, we feel very confident in how the information was input into the statewide voter registration database and that all the correct information would indeed be displayed for voters if they go to votewi.gov. So the Republicans...
the ballot's only wrong on the numerical number of the district, or is it bigger than that? I mean, do they list the wrong candidates or just the wrong district number? Because if it's just the wrong district number, who cares?
All the other races on the ballot were listed correctly, and all other Douglas County ballots are correct. So just those 700.
And again, clarify for Crudy's dumbass, what was wrong? The numerical number of the assembly
ballot
district
contains
is wrong?
the state's 73rd assembly district, but it should instead have the 74th as a result of the changes. They got the wrong district.
And the candidates are wrong then.
Correct. That presumably, yes.
Yeah, that's a mess.
So now here's the thing. I mean, how
that's up by Duluth.
How does this happen? Right? How does this happen? This is a legitimate question. You know, Robin Voss, you want to have an election investigation. You want to hire an outside consultant to find out how this came about. No, this is something you could actually look at.
Was Michael Gableman in charge?
I don't know, man. You know what I'm saying? But this is something, right? I mean, this is problematic. Certainly, if I lived in that area, I'd be mad if I was a voter. Certainly. This should not happen. It cannot happen. But
if you're the candidate?
Right,
what if you've been out there running your campaign ads and sending your mailers and knocking your doors?
Yep.
And then they get it wrong on the ballot.
Oops. My bad. Sorry about that. And these are
in court.
You have contested primaries on both Republican side and the Democratic side, in each of the 73rd and the 74th. So it could certainly matter. I mean, we're talking about 700 ballots here.
Douglas County, right on the tip of Lake Superior by Duluth. So, unfortunately, we're speaking the wrong hour, because next hour, Dom, they would have heard us there at 9:10 a.m. WBZH, the buzz of the North.
Now, I'm not sure the political leanings of that county. I would imagine they're probably red. I mean, because it's up north, they make those kinds of assumptions.
I can tell you Sawyer County, where Hayward is, very indigenous, high indigenous population, highest in the state of Wisconsin, 18%. In terms of the voting demographic, you would be surprised. When you get up there in like the Duluth media market, I believe there's a little tip of blue at the top of the state.
Yeah. All right.
Rich is not
nodding yes. So
I'll acknowledge that, Rich, because the people on the radio can't hear you nod.
Ashland, blue.
Yeah, Ashland, but that's the adjacent county, I believe. But this, I would assume, if you get up that far north, man, there's a little Democratic love up there, at least historically speaking.
Yeah. Well, either way, we got some bad ballots. And if you believe the conspiracies that the Republicans and the megas have been telling us all along, finally you have something to look at. There you go. They printed the wrong things. What are you going to do to fix it?
Didn't Joe Biden go visit a bridge in Superior? That's in Douglas County. That's on the northern tip, the bridge between Duluth and Superior.
The $1 billion bridge or whatever they're going to have to redo. Yeah.
That was the only Joe Biden event I did not credential for, Dom.
You don't want to go that far up north, Crudy?
Well, if I'm going that far up north, I'm going straight to the UP and loading up, man. I'm not going up to Superior, I got to tell you. I'm sure Douglas County is beautiful in the summer. But they can't get their ballots right, Dom. I turned my back on them.
Yeah, come on. No, that's terrible. That's terrible.
Yes, it is terrible. 844-967-2789. It's going to take a while to clean up that mess, I would suspect. Lots of you doing the right thing, voting no, and then texting into the Devil's Advocates and telling us you got the message. Double no's from Fond du Lac County, says Jim. A lot of people texting, and I appreciate that. I want to rally the support for the double no's, because I've got a sinking feeling in a low turnout August 13th partisan primary in the middle of summer that That's exactly why Republicans put it on the ballot, right?
Right.
We also, I did note, one of the texters said they voted for Charles Barban, the guy that's called us a few times.
Yeah.
He's on the Republican senatorial ballot, not a fan of the Eric Hudvey. And what's the old saying? An enemy of my enemy is my friend. Charles has become something of a friend, called in, been friendly. So, if you want to do a little mischievous crossing over, consider voting for Charles Barban if you don't have any contested Democratic races. But here's the deal. On a partisan primary, folks, you can't cross over. You can't do both. You can pick one column. You're either voting Dem, and you can, vote for all the good team candidates, or you're voting Republican. And for many of us, it's a ballot lacking a lot of choice because, the incumbent's running again. Mark Pocan's probably going to get my vote today. I haven't seen the ballot,
Yeah.
but I'm just guessing. In the primary, I'm voting for Mark. I did. Let me point out. I live in the Madison area. Many of the people listening today do. This race to go against Mark Pocan. There's Olson, and recently Olson has tried to distinguish himself in some of the radio ads, because I listen to the right-wing talk radio as well, and I hear the political ads they're playing over there, and it's Eric Olson. And of late, and we looked for this, and we couldn't find that he had published this anywhere. We would have played it for the fine audience, Tom. Eric did a little rap in his political ad. Eric laid out a rap for the people. And apparently...
Was it better than Australia's breakdancing at the Olympics? I just want to know. What were we talking about here?
Of similar quality.
Okay.
And then apparently his opponent, also a Republican, running to be the eventual person that gets slaughtered by Mark Pocan in the fall, is a candidate named Charity Berry. And Charity is mudslinging. We've talked a little bit about the third and Shanklin and Rebecca Cook and what's going on up there. Oh, nothing compared to what these Republicans do during the primary.
Oh, really? Okay.
I mean, we've talked about the 8th a little bit, where, the Trump-endorsed Tony Weed is going against the direct speaking to God, Andre Jacques. And then Roger Roth also, who apparently is a more prodigious fundraiser than Jacques is. They're having that battle. But here, she's calling him oscillating Eric Olson, because apparently he gave some money to some Supreme Court candidates once upon a time that are lefties, Dom. Judicial candidates that don't toe the party line. So Charity Berry wants to call out her opponent for voting wrong in prior judicial primary elections. He's oscillating Eric Olson. And I'm thinking, rap war.
Come on, dance up, bro.
They're going to have one on the ballot today. Eric Olson, the rapping Republican from Dane County, and Charity Berry, his mud-throwing, mud-slinging opponent. And they both get to go and be the sacrificial lamb to
the martyrs,
Mark Pocan, who will continue to be my favorite congressman, I suspect. What do you think? You give him good chances?
I'm taking Pocan. Yes.
I also am putting my money on Pocan in the fall election. But a partisan summer primary, man, no idea what the turnout's going to look like. I am nervous. People didn't get the message. Vote no. Twice.
No.
And then text us and let me know you did. You heard the message. I'd appreciate it.
Every business seeks an advantage, whether it's having the best location, hiring top talent, or spotting trends before they happen. And now, the United States Postal Service can give your business a new advantage. Introducing USPS Ground Advantage. Reliable and affordable 2 to 5 day package shipping. It's the advantage you need at the price you want. Get the ground
merchandise of the greatest radio show ever. Only at thedevilradioswag.com, because we got bills too.
Are you and your family weather ready? I'm Terry Barr, producer of the Slice of Wisconsin series. Wisconsin weather is ever changing, and all of us with Civic Media believe awareness can make a difference. Our weather ready stories will offer the information you need. Here's meteorologist Brittany Verlow.
Warm weather, humidity, and thunderstorms in Wisconsin bring mosquitoes that bite and annoy us throughout the spring and summer months.
They're there. They're always there. And then when we have high rainfall years, they're going to be more prevalent.
In fact, the first confirmed case of the West Nile virus has bitten Wisconsin. It was found in a blood donor from Washington County and also in a dead bird in Chippewa County. The West Nile virus is spread to humans, birds, and other animals through the bite of these infected mosquitoes.
Eliminate any water sources. Dump those flower pots out. Don't let dog or kitty poo with it. Fill them when you're going to use them, and then dump them out. Clean the gutters. Reduce those sources is definitely going to help. You want to still be able to enjoy your yard.
I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot.
You're listening.
Malarkey. The Devil's Advocates invented malarkey.
And welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Phone lines are open, 844-967-2789. Crute, Rich brought this to our attention. Now it's being reported also at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Republican vice presidential nominee J.D. Vance will return to Wisconsin Friday to deliver remarks at the Milwaukee Police Association.
Dom, will we be there to cover it?
Nope.
No.
No.
Who knows? You know, I might have made some deference to the vice presidential candidate had he accepted my request for credentials in Eau Claire last week. Sure, I wasn't planning on actually attending his little pep rally of dozens. I went to the Kamala Harris event, pep rally of dozens of thousands.
I mean, that's some really good AI. If it's like what, like holograms? How do they do that, Crute? I mean, did you touch every one of those people? Did you know that they were real or were they fake?
You know, it was a hot, sweaty day. I could smell most of them.
It's a hoax.
It was a hoax. I will not be there, but I am enjoying. Although, you know, I hate to encourage negativity, but voting no on both the constitutional amendments in this case is the correct answer. So the message has gotten through. We got a texter from the 920, 2 huge no votes. I voted early last week. Here's another one. Vote no, infinity. I voted no on both, says Ann from Watertown. My 29-year-old son voted no on both as well. Good job, Ann. Terry from Cottage Grove voted no. Another one here voted no twice last week, along with the vote for Barman. All the Dems were unopposed in my districts. Well, then you can be a little mischievous, can you not? And, you know, our friend Jeff keeps sending along, and yesterday it was Rich, but this misleading meme encouraging to vote yes, to do the absolutely wrong thing, but they frame it in such a way. You see Scott Walker, and it says, would you want Scott Walker to be able to go spend money unencumbered by legislative oversight? Well, of course not, right? You want oversight on Scott Walker. That never happened when Scott Walker was actually the governor here.
Oh, they had the opportunity, right?
If you go to his social medias, Scott Walker is encouraging you to vote yes. So if Walker says do it, you absolutely are going to vote no, right? But the meme has got me very concerned, Dom. I think it was a very effectual meme. It's the knee-jerk reaction is, yeah, I want to, whatever Scott Walker wants, I don't want to do that. So it's
well, hopefully our audience, is certainly our audience, can see through that. We have the smartest audience out there. They're not going to fall for a banana in the tailpipe, man.
Again. 844-967-2789. We got a caller calling in from Dodge County. I'm going to get to you here in a second, Ian. I got to be smarter than the phone line. Ian, welcome. What do you got for us?
Hey, Ian.
Well, hey, good afternoon. Hey, I'm on my way right now to vote
vote me some no.
Yes.
And I'm having a little trouble with some research here. On my ticket in my area, I only have 2 Democratic candidates, and they're both unopposed. Wonder what I'm getting ready to do. Well, there seems to be several Republicans in the United States Senator, and then also there's a couple of Republicans running for Assembly of District 99. And here I am trying to figure out the best way to help a Democrat, and I seem to have 3 options of Republicans here to choose from. Can you give me a little bit of insight?
Well, I'm doing a little Googling here. Yeah, man. Let's think about this for just a...
You smell what I'm stepping in, or has someone
No,
made,
man, we got you, brother.
Registering Republican illegal yet?
I like what you're laying down here, Ian. We absolutely get it. I did similar mischief once upon a time back in 2012, summer of 12. It was a kinder, gentler time.
Oh, the good old days.
Was it 12? I don't know. Tammy Baldwin, I feel like, was running on the Senate side, and I thought I'd cross over and vote in the partisan, it must have been a spring partisan primary on the Republican side, because Mitt Romney was on the ballot, but so was Rick Santorum, Ian. And I thought about it long and hard. And then I voted for Rick Santorum. I Santorum myself. I've never washed it off completely.
The frothiness. You've never brought the frothiness off. So Ian, yeah, play. You know, I don't know who's our new buddy, man? The guy running against Hovde, the barman. I mean, the barman's out there. I mean, the guy like barman. But you know, it's you have as long as you're not voting in a Republican lane and also a Democratic lane. If you have unopposed Democrats, Ian, you can play whatever games you want. Just don't invalidate your ballot like Crute did with the frothy Santorum vote.
Here's one other thought, Ian. Vote against the incumbent. The incumbent in the 99th Assembly District, Cindy Duchow, Duchow. I'm sure that's wrong. But if you unelect her, Ian, by picking her primary opponent, she loses in the primary, then I don't ever have to learn how to properly pronounce Cindy Duchow's name.
Duco?
I'm not sure. If I knew, I would say it properly.
Wow.
I'm not trying.
Republican?
I'm not doing like the Republicans do, man. You know, like Kamala. You know, I'm not doing it that way. Kamala. I know how to pronounce the future president's name. I'm not mispronouncing it to be offensive. I just don't know how to say it. So I'm going with Duchow.
Dookie. Don Old. Come on, man. You make fun of names all the time. Crute. That's your real name.
But when I'm mispronouncing a name, I'm doing so sincerely, Dan. Seriously, if I was better at enunciation or really speaking, God, I'd have a better job than this, wouldn't I? More Devil's Advocates, stick around. I'll butcher some names in the next hour.
Excellent.
Civic Media Radio station for coverage you won't find anywhere else.
I'm News Director Terry Bell. When the polls close at 8, our news team will bring you results from all over Wisconsin.
Election coverage live, Tuesday, August 13th at 8.
On your local Civic Media Radio station and streaming on the app. You can always continue the conversation on social media. Share your thoughts when you find and follow Civic Media on Facebook, X, and Instagram. You're listening to Mad Radio, WMDX 1580 AM Columbus, W224EG Madison, and always streaming on the Civic Media app.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Escalating tensions in the Middle East leading the U.S. to boost its resources in the region to prepare and deter Iran from retaliating against Israel after several Hamas and Hezbollah leaders were killed. A U.S. missile submarine aircraft strike group are among the assets deployed. Pentagon spokesperson Major General Pat Ryder would not elaborate on the U.S. plans if Iran strikes.
I think we've been very clear that we're going to support the defense of Israel, and I'm not going to speculate about potential future attacks by Iran.
President Biden telling reporters before leaving for New Orleans today the U.S. is still pushing for a ceasefire deal in Gaza. Talks are set to resume this week. The president at Tulane University today highlighting his cancer moonshot initiative. He's expected to announce $150 million in federal research grants. Vice President Kamala Harris off the trail today. Her running mate Tim Walz spoke to state and county union workers in California, his first solo campaign event for the ticket. This is ABC News.
This news report is sponsored by Wisconsin Capital Management, LLC, serving their clients for 40 years. Visit wiscap.com.
Civic Media News. I'm Terry Bell. Here's what Wisconsin needs to know. Today is partisan primary election day, the first election day since new boundaries for Wisconsin Senate and Assembly districts went into effect. Wisconsin Elections Commission Administrator Megan Wolf.
Who's on their ballot, what districts they're qualified to vote in, depends on their address. And so when the redistricting happened, voters who are now in a new district, their registration was moved by their clerk into that appropriate district.
Polls are open till 8 tonight. That's when election night coverage begins on many Civic Media radio stations and online. The last of 4 hotel security guards linked to the death of Devontae Mitchell in Milwaukee has made his initial court appearance. Herbert Williamson and 3 others restrained Mitchell on June 30th. Mitchell died of asphyxiation. I'm Terry Bell, Civic Media News. Now here's what you need to know closer to home.
This is news from WMDX Madison. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. The Dane County District Attorney has released his decision not to hold officers criminally liable for the shooting death of a teen with a fake gun. In Mount Horeb on May 1st, a 14-year-old boy showed up to its school with an air rifle. It looked real, according to officers and body camera footage. Dane County District Attorney Ishmael Ozan says the boy refused to drop it multiple times, then raised it toward an officer. The 3 officers on scene then shot at him. Ozan says because their lives seem to be in danger, they use deadly force, which is permitted under the law. And today is primary election day. The Madison City Clerk's Office and the Dane County Clerk's Office have been preparing for months now. If you're not registered or you have a new address, you can register at the polling place before casting your ballot today. Just make sure you bring a state-issued photo ID and proof of residence. Polls are open until 8 p.m. And that's what you need to know. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson, and this is WMDX News.
It's the Brewers and the Dodgers. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. Game 2 of the series between LA and Milwaukee tonight at AmFam Field. The Crew losing Game 1 last night 5-2. The Dodgers Shohei Ohtani with a home run that traveled 424 feet. And Mookie Betts, back in his first game since breaking his left hand, had a 2-run homer with 3 RBI. Manager Pat Murphy.
You know, 2 of the best players in the game hit a home run. I thought Freddie Peralta was fantastic, but the 4 runs came on 2 infield hits and 2 home runs.
College football, the Badgers competition at quarterback continues. Tyler Van Dyke versus Braden Locke. Head coach Luke Fickell says it's a good problem to have.
As everybody wants to ask about the quarterback position and who's number 1 and who's number 2, where I feel as good as anything is we've got 2 really good, really capable quarterbacks.
That's Luke Fickell. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
Enjoying this local program? Find the complete Civic Media lineup at civicmedia.us or the Civic Media app.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Partly cloudy tonight, a low around 60. And increasing clouds for tomorrow, chance of showers and storms in the late afternoon and evening. High low 80s. More rain around Wednesday night and Thursday. Highs in the upper 70s. Drying out for later Friday into the weekend. Right now it's 80.
This is Chad Spade for Chad's Design Build. We're proud to employ some of the best carpenters and remodeling professionals in our industry. Are you honest and hardworking? Do you love to improve people's lives by improving their homes? Chad's Design Build offers excellent compensation and benefits focused on outstanding customer service, professional design, construction management, and craftsmanship, all in a nurturing, positive workplace. Whether you're thinking about remodeling your home or considering joining our team, go to chadsdesignbuild.com to learn more.
Wisconsin Capital Management in Madison is a registered investment advisory firm and has been serving their clients for the past 40 firm is focused on providing investment advisory services to its affiliated mutual funds. Their approach to investment management is designed to provide competitive performance over the entire business cycle. Their clients rely on them to manage their assets through the fluctuations of market cycles, and they strive to outperform over the long term. For information, visit wiscap.com.
Maggie Dawn.
Next up, I've got the chair of the Wisconsin Democratic Party, Ben Wickler. We'll be talking about the DNC and the implosion of the GOP. Don't miss it.
The Maggie Dawn Show, weekday afternoons at 2. The Devil's Advocates radio show is broadcast under a time brokerage agreement between Devil Radio and Civic Media Inc. Some portions of this program may be pre-recorded. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever, and due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves and corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. Now live from the Civic Media Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
And now, here's your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates radio show. For those listening in the greatest state ever, the state of Wisconsin, my home state. It is partisan primary election day, Dom. And I've mentioned, welcome, little buddy. I've mentioned I'm a little concerned that
Yes.
our little radio product here in Wisconsin, playing across this great state, why I know that we're out here trying to make a clear avocation, vote no twice on the constitutional referendums. They're trying to hoodwink us. And when I say they, I mean Robin Voss in the Wisconsin Republican-controlled legislature, because we haven't quite gotten to the fair maps yet. This is the work of the Republicans trying to break stuff on their way out the door. Don't let them break stuff. Vote no twice. And then do me a favor, because I want to know that people are actually listening and care, and they're civically engaged. And how do I know? Send me a text. It's easy. It just takes like 30 seconds. 844-967-2789. Reassure me, because Crute sometimes needs reassurance.
You're very concerned, man.
No.
You've been talking about this, man. You keep bringing it up all day today.
I am very concerned about this, Don, because I got a bad feeling. This is going to be a low turnout primary. And I know we've got the most civically active people anywhere. And I'd be curious if you're out there in this world and you somehow felt compelled to vote yes, and maybe didn't really understand what the question was, because this is not an effort at transparency. This doesn't say, hey, man, we're trying to stick it to Tony Evers. This is some mumbo jumbo. And it would be easy. And I talk to people that have been confused about the nature of what they were being asked on the ballot, and good Democrats voted yes. Didn't mean to. Oh, no.
Right.
Yeah, too late for
the
no.
intent of the voter is not necessarily exact to the question. They formulate the questions to make it confusing. And then they throw out the memes and say, hey, you don't want to give Scott Walker, ultimate power over federal dollars, do you? To try to jazz up the Democrats, man. And that's how they do it. And at the end of the day, just look at what the Republicans have done in the state of Wisconsin. And if you like it, then I guess you're a yes. If you have a problem with it, you have the problem with that, the corruption and the quote unquote leadership of the mega GOP. And, let's not forget they all tried to overturn the election. They have some credibility problems. I don't want to trust them. We don't need to change the Constitution because they think we should.
So if you indulge Crute, and I don't ask a lot of you, occasionally pie and cookies,
and loose joints.
Attend a few parties when we come out to the community, and please vote no on these referendums, and then text me and let me know that the message got out. And if you did get confused, it's okay. I would like to know if we've had people inadvertently vote against how they maybe would have intended to if they've been confused either by memes or process or, God forbid, right-wing talk radio. Because they're out there clearly advocating for something. And I know, Dom, I've been in sales a lot of my life, radio and sales. And here's something I've noticed. If you don't tell people to call now, they don't call now. You got to literally spell it out for people. That's the way the psyche works. If you don't make a clear avocation and say, do this now, call now, 844, boom, there's the phone, 844-967-2789. Call now. Now would be an excellent time to call, especially if you got boonswoggled like yours truly into tuning into some Twitter Spaces crap with Elon Musk and Donald Trump last night. I felt like I owed it to the listeners of this fine program, Don.
You really did. I kind of assume that you would have gotten everything you expected when you tuned into this debacle that was the Twitter, the Elon and the Trump. I mean, Elon, he's not a journalist, man. You know, I mean, apparently he goes up there and does the yes. Yeah. I didn't watch it.
He seemed a lot more like a fluffer than a journalist.
Well, of course, because he's not. And just because you're rich doesn't mean you know how to do everything. And certainly what he wasn't doing is, to my understanding from the reporting that I've seen, was not asking any tough questions. Of course not. These are two guys on the same side of almost every issue trying to fluff each other up. So no, thank you. I don't need to be around for that circle jerk.
It was almost literally that. And I do know what the meaning of the word literally. It was almost literally that. It was the most sycophantic interview I've ever heard in my life. And it hardly even was an interview. It was just Donald Trump running roughshod over the rich kid. He just kept talking. And when finally, between the yeah. I mean, he sounded like freaking Beavis or Butthead. Which one's the yeah?
So while Musk, in response to Trump's rambling, continued to say yeah.
That's all he had to say. And once in a while, he would, Trump would run out of gas on his forward tangent length. No grammar. I mean, there's no periods. There's no punctuation. If it was written out, it's just a word salad of blah. I mean, he's just barfing it out.
No, right. His meandering mind is he's just thinking things and they're coming out of his mouth. And they're, I'm sure, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, repeats of all the crap he said over the last 10, 15, 20, his lifetime, man. You know the shtick from Donald Trump. You know he's going to roll over anyone who's going to try to interview him. If they actually ask him a tough question, you're nasty. You're nasty. That's a nasty question. Don't even say hello.
Nasty questions.
No,
and I could not. I did not listen to 2 hours, Tom. There's no way in hell. But I listened as long as my body would hold out and allow me to do so without throwing my phone at the wall. I mean, first and foremost, this thing started 45 minutes late. And it's funny because your Twitter profile is right there. And I had no idea. We've blocked Elon Musk. Can't tweet at us. We've blocked him. It's the devil's advocates. So it was like Trump's little Twitter profile, and then it was Elon's little Twitter profile. Then the devil's advocates.
So we don't block Trump, but we block Elon.
We blocked Elon. Trump hasn't been tweeting. His stock price took a dive yesterday when he went back to Twitter, even for the day. But here's the interesting point. You know who was immediately to our right flank? Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Oh, great.
She was next to be on the icon list. And then I went down to see how many other of these Freedom Caucus members, but there were a large number of people when the event finally got started.
Now he claimed there was a DDoS attack, right? That some sort of.
You can claim whatever you want, man. Nobody attacked Twitter. Do you remember the Ron DeSantis rollout?
Yes.
Was it a DDoS attack then?
No, and Trump was all over that, right? Oh, little Marco, terrible rollout, terrible. And then he does the same thing. But of course, I mean, you can't ask the guy to be consistent, be critical of his own actions, his own interview, his own attempt at the Twitter thing, and be consistent and compare it to
It
Marco.
wasn't even a video live stream, dude. It was an audio stream. The
Did you hear
sound quality was not even great. It was just audio, and they couldn't deliver the audio. They could not get people into the Twitter spaces to deliver the audio.
Wow.
I mean, it was rough. It was a cluster, and then they started talking. Actually, we've got Elon, and I see you, caller. I see you, Aldous, our friend Aldous. Be a little patient. We'll get to you. But I listened to this thing last night, so some of you got to suffer through a little bit of broccoli eating, sort of double rich guy. Broccoli with a little side of Tesla caviar on top.
All right.
Elon interviewing Trump after he apologizes. You know, his platform was attacked and all. Played for the people, Rich. Elon.
Apologies for the late start. We unfortunately had a massive distributed denial of service attack against our servers. And saturated all of our data lines.
Oh, that's a shame. It's almost like you don't have enough staff to keep Twitter up and running.
Yeah, weird. Hope that doesn't happen to the cars.
It was, and that's how it started, with an apology. Oh, I mean,
you're right.
If we started the show 45 minutes late with an apology, we wouldn't have to worry about people listening to it. And this was promised to be the greatest interview in history. I had to go to Elon's Twitter feed because apparently we blocked him. But I went to Elon's Twitter feed and he was claiming best interview ever. And they did yeah, fire. That was like his interview style. If he wasn't kissing Trump's ass, and he started with the question about the assassination attempt. Oh, Mr. Trump, you were so brave. Like your reaction when you got shot and you didn't duck or anything. I'm thinking he was ducking. But then he stood up and, you said fight. And you're so cool, Mr. Trump. And could you tell us how cool you are? That was like the tone. Improve your lie. Winner rules.
Winner rules, right.
I can't believe Elon felt the need to kiss his ass as such.
We have
Elon, go ahead.
I just want to hear the bloody ear, the Trump cut number 9, if you would please, Rich.
I didn't know I had that much blood. The doctors later told me that the ear is a place that is a very bloody place if you're going to get hit.
Yeah.
But in this case, it was probably the best alternative you could even think about.
Well, yeah. A skull shot being the alternative.
Yeah, that'd be bad. That'd been much worse than the ear. Now, I did notice in that a little slurring. And I did see last night the social media blowing up. Number one, about the DDoS quote unquote attack on Twitter. And then
nobody believes it.
No one believes that. And then Trump getting a little lispy. Did you notice any of that?
I did not. But I only listened for like the first 45 minutes. And this is the very beginning. But I did not discern, other than the fact, for this highfalutin best interview ever, the audio quality kind of sucked. The Twitter Spaces sucks. Just saying. If you don't like me, block me back, Elon. We have time for any more here? No, not yet. Not right now. So we'll come back. We'll play you a little bit more.
Politicians should have no say at all. Thankfully, we have leaders to emergency medical care and support the ability to travel for reproductive care. She's fought for access to high-quality, affordable contraception and strengthened reproductive health privacy. Vice President Harris has defended our rights and freedoms against right-wing extremists who want the government to make medical decisions for us. She's a champion for our rights. Visit www.abwt.org/Kamala and tell Vice President Harris, keep fighting for our freedom to make our own medical decisions. Paid for by a Better Wisconsin Together, Inc.
Mad Radio. Grass-fed, locally raised, 100% organic. The Devil's Advocates.
And we're back from the 420 break. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. You can join us on the lines. Callers, be patient. We'll get to you shortly. 844-967-2789.
I've been checking the text line. Here's a nice one. Crute, number 707 at the Middleton Cop Shop. That's a lot of votes on a partisan primary day. 3 p.m. I colored in 10 circles, but the most important were Melissa Agard. She's running for Dane County Executive. A well-known state lawmaker. Love Melissa Agard. Well done, ma'am. No and no, says Katie in Middleton. And then she goes and ruins it. She tells us she's Jeff from Shorewood's sister. I wouldn't claim that publicly, Katie. I've met the man. Appreciate you voting no twice. A lot of people doing so. 2 huge no votes. I voted early last week. Eric from McFarland says probably 3 because my sons will too. A lot of people's kids are doing the right thing. My kids have checked in. That's 4 more no-nos. And then double-barreled no's. I like it when you text in and reassure me because I've been kind of anxious all day long about the outcome of the constitutional referendums in the state of Wisconsin. Right-wing talk radio has been out there advocating every station all up and down the dial. And then I hear Dom and Crute doing it. You know, we tell you no, but I feel like there's too many of them, Dom. They drown us out with their putrid righty-whitey talk. This texter tells me, also, I didn't have a spot to write in hell no, so I just had to fill in no twice. I know it bothers me, too, that you can't write hell no. Here's a question. Crute, give us the scoop on Trump's lisp. What did you think the cause was? Lip injections? Loose dentures? Neural impairment? Stroke? I think that's Pam from Mount Horeb asking the question. I didn't note it. Maybe I'm having the neural impairment. But I listened to it, and maybe I was just so off-put by the ass-kissing nature of Elon Musk. Like, come on, Richie Rich. Ask him a real question. So, I mean, this whole...
But you're only ask questions if you're trying to seek, answers, if you actually have real curiosity. This wasn't any of that. This was an opportunity for Elon Musk to promote himself, his product, and, of course, his guy, Donald Trump. And it was an opportunity for Donald Trump to go out there and just randomly, say whatever comes to his mind for 2 hours, dude. Are you kidding me?
Well, I didn't listen for the whole 2 hours. We only ask that you listen 3 hours a day, but we try to be interesting. And there's definitely friction between the panelists. If all I did was ramble and Dom said, yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, that was the nature of the interview last night. And then when Elon finally got around, it was basically, tell us why you're the greatest man ever, Mr. Trump. I'm so impressed by you. And I'm not really political. At one point, Elon claimed he was sort of left centrist. I'm thinking, shut up. Left centrist, what, compared to your Nazi buddies? I'm less than impressed with Elon as a human, as a interviewer, or as a guy who broke Twitter. I mean, because Twitter, it was broken. And I sat through 45 minutes and I had heard enough. But like 20 minutes?
Yeah, but
was just
Crute,
Trump rambling about the assassination
attempt. All you need to know is that they're rich. Donald Trump is rich. Elon Musk.
Oh, I forget
rich.
They're better than us.
So they're better than you. They're smarter than you. They're better looking than you. They know more than you. Hey. So just remember, money cures all.
Well, money cured Elon's bad hairline, and money cured his weak jaw. So yeah, with a little plastic surgery and some hair transplants, yeah, I could look a little sexier myself. I feel quite confident.
Few $1 billion and Crute will be on the magazine cover. 844-967-2789. Our pal Aldous, welcome back, man. What do you got for us?
Hey, Aldous.
Hey, so, first of all, let me just say Elon Musk is about as far left as my right foot's pinky toe. But but when it comes right down to it, I'm bad with numbers, and I understand you want us to be texting in, so I need y'all to repeat that number a couple times.
You're on the number. If you figured out how to call us, it's the same number, Aldous. You already have the number.
I'm a Gen Xer, dude. You got to tell me which is a text line. So it's a text line and a toll-free number.
Yeah,
Yes.
super cool.
See how that works, man?
Just like you, Aldous. It's super cool. So just look at your recent dialed list and save that number for future use, and you can text on it.
Well, okay, so I'll tell you this much then. Absentee ballot from my 28-year-old stepson, who will never go to a poll if he can help it. He told me straight up he did the no's on both questions. So we've got one ballot in early from that one. Now, here's the other thing I want to reassure you about, too. So many people I have heard have been voting no who are conservative because they misunderstood it. They're confused.
Ah, that's interesting.
It's not for the lack of effort on Righty Whitey Talk Radio, Aldous. I've been hearing about these damn referendums every day on Righty Whitey Talk Radio because they've got some skin in the game. They're taking away stuff from a Democratic governor. They want this to happen. They're more motivated for this to happen. All we're trying to do is maintain a status quo.
Right, but the problem is that their natural tendency, just as being conservatives politically, is to say no to change. So when you have this thing on the ballot saying, do you want this, yes or no, they go, well, no.
Aldous, I hope they're as dumb as you describe them as. I've met a few, and, I could believe, but I still think yes or no questions. Most people can figure out.
We just need enough of them. We just need enough of them to
Right.
be that dumb.
Yeah. To be that confused, Aldous, and thanks for the call, man. Great to hear from you. That they write these referendum questions to be confusing, and I guess I hadn't considered the other side, as Aldous points out. If your natural reaction is no to everything, and Crute, you know me. What's my first answer to almost everything?
No.
Hell no. I get that.
I'm shocked each and every day when you show up for the radio show.
You're welcome.
Because when you woke up this morning, I know the answer was no. You doing a radio show today? Nope.
I get there. I'm always here, mostly, except sometimes Fridays.
My son has a friend named Joseph, and he's got a few verbal challenges, but Joseph's a big kid and a nice kid, and he had a birthday recently. So my wife helped Caden buy a shirt for his buddy Joseph, and the shirt is like, blue, just a normal color, but the lettering is neon pink, and it says, nope.
Nope.
And that's Joseph's favorite thing to say, because people tell him that all the time. He's going for food in the cupboard or something. Nope. Today, Joseph, live his words. It's nope twice. That's very similar to ope, but it's nope. Don't vote ope. Ope more devils.
Civic Media Radio station. Want to hear even more? Anytime? Find all of it at civicmedia.us.
Civic Media News. I'm Terry Bell. Here's what Wisconsin needs to know. More than 288,000 people have already voted in Wisconsin's primary election. Wisconsin Elections Commission Administrator Megan Wolf says that's how many absentee ballots had come in as of early yesterday morning. It's the first election since 2022 that voters can use ballot drop boxes. The U.S. Department of Agriculture is paying more than $2 billion to minority farmers, ranchers, and foresters to make up for discriminatory practices of the past, like denying government loans. But some advocates say they want more transparency.
I'm not personally dazzled about numbers or dollar amounts unless I can connect that to the people that are being most impacted.
Sharon Mallory is with the 2020 Farmers Co-op. I'm Terry Bell. Civic Media News. Now here's what you need to know closer to home.
This is news from WMDX Madison. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. The person shot by Fitchburg police is now in critical condition. Authorities were called to a fight on Whispering Pines Way at about 8 a.m. yesterday. According to Fitchburg Police Chief Alfonso Morales, a 28-year-old man involved in the fight had a knife. Morales says the man refused to drop that knife multiple times and started charging toward police. That's when an officer shot him. At first, he was reported to be in stable condition. That's since changed to critical. Now that officer has been placed on administrative leave pending investigation, which is protocol under state law. And Dane County will soon fly the Ho-Chunk flag forever. Earlier this month, the City-County Liaison Committee approved a resolution acknowledging that every day the county operates on land that is the ancestral, traditional, and modern home of the Ho-Chunk people. Now, county officials are working with Ho-Chunk leadership to plan a flag-raising ceremony. And don't forget, if you haven't voted yet, today is primary election day. And that's what you need to know. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson, and this is WMDX News.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. If you're looking for a movie this weekend that is ripe for theater viewing as opposed to streaming, and you can't seem to get enough of franchises, check out Alien Romulus. Not even sure I need to explain what it's about, but the story finds colonizers in space who end up in peril when they come face to face with, you guessed it, aliens. Alien Romulus is the umpteenth installment in the series, and most likely not the last, and it opens August 16th. Have fun at the movies. Matt Damon says the people and culture of Boston can seem abrasive and harsh. Damon's new comedy is called The Instigators and is set in the actor's native city. His lifelong pal and castmate Casey Affleck also calls Boston his hometown. Damon says he is aware of how people view Boston and can be put off by Bostonians' sarcasm and cynicism. But to him, it feels like a comfortable pair of socks. New tourism slogan, anyone? The Instigators can be streamed on Apple TV. For more showbiz fun, tune in to Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 7 to 9 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Local radio for you and your community. It's Civic Media's mission with stations across Wisconsin. Find your favorites at civicmedia.us.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Partly cloudy tonight, a low around 60. And increasing clouds for tomorrow, chance of showers and storms in the late afternoon and evening. High low 80s. More rain around Wednesday night and Thursday. Highs in the upper 70s. Drying out for later Friday into the weekend. Currently at 79.
Hi, this is Paul Soglin. When I was mayor of Madison, Samba Balde was Common Council president. I counted on him to fight for a fair share of city services for all Madison residents and to protect taxpayers' interests. I know you can count on him to be a progressive state senator. Vote for Samba Balde for Senate on August 13th.
Paid for by Samba for Senate.
Hi, I'm Mike Crute, and I've signed my share of commercial real estate leases. In Madison, I highly recommend Jeff Jansen from Altus Commercial Real Estate. Jeff guided me to my first radio station location on the west side. He helped us move to University Ave, and eventually Jeff set up the lease on the Civic Media World headquarters. No one works harder to provide options in commercial leasing. Call Jeff Jansen and his team at Altus Commercial Real Estate at 608-338-1101.
Jane Matnair and Greg Bach.
Coming up on the show, it's Wednesday. That means it's time for public cervix announcement with Dr. Laura Hanks. If you have a question for the doctor, just send it to janesays@civicmedia.us.
Warning, listening to the Devil's Advocates may expose you to opposing views.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show where working people come to talk. There ain't no Richie Riches around here. But that Laguna Beach
call
guy,
this working, Crudy.
well, we show up every day and we do our best. Some days it feels like work. Most days I got to spend time with you feel like work. Got to be honest with you, man.
Oh, come on, man. This is the highlight of your day, Crudy. Say it. You know it.
Depends on whether or not I ate lunch.
You get grabby. You get hangry.
I am a little hangry now. Peanut butter jelly. Got to hold me over till the end of the show.
Oh, come on, big fella.
I'm going to say the number slowly for Aldous, all the Gen Xers, all the boomers, all the people listening. Because apparently sometimes you don't realize it's not just the phone number. It's also a text line. 844-967-2789.
And it's
And
real
if you
easy
got-
to remember. It's 844-96-PARTY. See? 844-96-PARTY. And you can text, you can send memes, you can send pictures. It's like a regular text line and a phone line.
People do that. Only, much like Dom, you act like a millennial. You don't even respond to text. You don't even look at them. You don't even. I do. I do. And
you've kind of
so
just taken that duty over, though. It's kind of been kind of your thing. I usually grab the
is my
phones. Yeah, and then you look on your phone and you get all the texts.
So if Dom doesn't take your call, blame him. And if Dom doesn't read your text, also blame Dom. I have been reading the text, very nice text, and I am encouraged because I am concerned, Dom, that the constitutional amendments, those listing in Wisconsin, we got a partisan primary going on today. And I am a little concerned. I'm not going to say worried, a little anxious that the constitutional amendments are going to pass because we and others like us have not been clear in our avocation for voting no twice. And the fact that right-wing talk radio is out there trying to confuse people, and there was a very effective Scotty Wanker meme. It showed Wanker like, you wouldn't possibly want to give this guy the power, would you? Vote yes. And I'm like, no, don't do that. Don't
come on.
believe it.
Crute, I would disagree to some degree. We have been very clear on our no's since this came out. We have been very clear. There's been no waffling. There's been no, hey, what do you think about this? Is this a great idea? Or is Robin Voss really looking out for the people of Wisconsin? No, that's never been the thing. It's always been no. No.
Yeah, but I'm worried we haven't been repetitive enough. Usually I leave the repetitive nature to you, Dom, but sometimes to get the message across to the broad audience, you got to say it over and over again. So no again.
No.
And then please text Crute and reassure me that I'm not just talking to the wind here, that we're moving hearts and minds and perhaps the electorate here in the great state of Wisconsin, because that is what is most important to me. And hanging out with you on the radio, that's, just how we try to accomplish it.
Moving Wisconsin forward.
It is the highlight of my day most days. I'll be honest. It is. But I don't really have a day job. So, I kind of wait till 3 o'clock. It's like it gets better at 3. Then I see Dom and I'm like,
yeah, come on. What are you talking about today?
I can't wait to talk about the Richie Rich senatorial candidate from the state of Wisconsin suing TV stations because an ad said mean things about him, Dom. But I did want to work our way through, and we're going to give Rich just a minute to take a few of the phone calls. I did want to work our way through a little bit more of the Richie Rich interviews. Insurrectionist Don, the former president, went on the Twitter Spaces last night. It sounded like an AOL meetup, and the dial-up wasn't working properly. It started 45 minutes late, so they had all sorts of tech problems. Started with an apology, and then Trump rambling. Long-form Trump rambling, and Elon barely interrupting him with a, yeah, you're the greatest. Yeah. So let's play a little more sound. Maybe I mischaracterized it. Others say Trump sounded really lispy. And I found the sound quality, at least on the back porch, listening on a cell phone on Twitter Spaces, I didn't notice. So I'm sorry. I'm not going to crap on him for that. Just the content of what he said, not the delivery. The content sucked. Was he not going to stop talking about the assassination attempt after that one speech at the RNC and then never going to talk about it again? Until Elon said, well, tell me about the assassination and how great you were. Sure. How long you got? I got 2 hours of material on this.
All night, baby. No, he doesn't have a job either. We have some of the Donald Trump sound from the interview, quote unquote, with Elon Musk last night. I think we left off cut number 10, Rich, if you would please. Here's Trump on the immigrants.
These are rough people. These are people that are in jail for murder and all sorts of things. And they're releasing them into our country. And they're telling them, if you come back, we're going to kill you. We're going to give you the death penalty or kill you. So they don't want to come back.
But I'm going to send them back.
That's a little thick tongue. Yeah, and I believe he's getting like insane asylums and asylum. Is he confusing these things? You know
I
what
don't
I mean?
know. He said he literally got crucified, so I'm looking for the stigmata at this point.
A couple more from the former guy. Let's play cut number 11, please.
You fight for election integrity and you end up getting indicted because you're fighting for election integrity. And when the day comes that you can't fight for election integrity, you don't have a country anymore. So what happens is they after their political opponent, me, now Biden's close to vegetable stage in my opinion. Okay? I looked at him today on the beach and I said, why would anybody allow him? The guy could barely walk. Why would anybody allow him? Does he have a political advisor that thinks this looks good? He thinks this looks good because it looks so bad, and it's ridiculous. I mean, and he's been doing it for a long time. He can't lift the chair. The chair weighs about 3 ounces. It's meant for children and old people to lift, and he can't lift it.
I got to be honest. I didn't hear it that last night, but today,
oh yeah,
loud and clear, man. Oh wow, it's like his dentures were falling out. Get him some whatever denture adhesive stuff is. Sorry, we don't have a denture adhesive sponsor here. Denture adhesive sponsor.
With the drugs wearing off. I mean, what was that? I mean, for real,
I've never heard him speak that lispy before. I've heard other. Sorry.
I've seen it a few times with him, and I think it's when he gets tired. This could have been a long day for him, right? This was last night. They went longer than they thought they were possibly going to go because, of course, started 45 minutes late. He rambled for 2 hours, and maybe he's just getting tired. Things happen with older people when they get tired.
Does he realize Joe Biden's no longer his opponent? Did he forget? Did Grandpa get a little grumpy last night? But it sounds like he's spitting the bit down. It sounds to me, and I've heard this, and I don't mean to make fun of Nancy Pelosi, but she wears dentures, clearly. And I've heard it in the lispiness of how she enunciates at times. This sounds like that on steroids.
Yeah. One more from Thuffer Thuckatath, Donald Trump. The American dream is dead. Well, that's what he said to us, Crute. Let's hear what he said to Elon.
We're going to give incentive to companies to come into our country, not to leave our country. We're going to be giving tremendous incentives. We want companies to build here, not to build in other locations. And we want to create jobs. And again, it's about the American dream. You don't hear about the American dream anymore, Elon. You don't hear. You're the American dream in the truest sense. But you don't hear about the American dream anymore. And you're going to hear about it. People, they need that incentive to go out and do it. And they're going to love their lives. I mean, they're going to look forward to getting up in the morning and going to a job that they love, not a job that they can't stand, or not any job at all where they have no money, where they literally have no money. And then they end up with violence and lots of other problems.
Wow. He's hard to take serious.
Yeah.
I mean, for both content reasons and for
many reasons. But yeah, the enunciation, very problematic, man. That's not normal. I mean, if that was Joe Biden, Joe Biden, all these crowds that Donald Trump has, it's all AI. And Joe Biden got up there and started talking like this. People think, wow, what's going on with Joe Biden? There's something wrong with that guy. But no, they just, this is normal. This is fine for them. It's not normal. This never should be normal, let alone, I'm just talking about the delivery, let alone, as you mentioned, Crute, the content. You know why people don't talk about the American dream, Donald Trump? Because you declared it to be dead. And there's one person, there's the one campaign that's actually talking about hope, talking about joy, talking about what kind of America we want to live in. And it's not your campaign. It's the Harris Walls campaign.
We were in the room at the Quicken Loans Arena. At his nomination speech, he said the American dream is dead. And then he reiterated that at his inaugural speech. And then, for some reason, you found it distasteful and got up and wanted to leave. Felt a raindrop or something.
Yeah, F that guy, man.
Jeff sent in a little meme. You know who he sounds like there? Mike Tyson. Little Mike Tyson is. Remember when Tyson?
Yeah.
He's going to punch you right in the spleen. It's going to make you hurt. Very lispy, earlier, young Mike Tyson.
Everyone's got a
sounds like
plant
that.
punched in the nose. No, it sounds, but I mean, Mike talk like, I mean, it sounds like that a lot, right? He sounds like that all the time. This is not something that Donald Trump normally sounds like. Again, I think, I don't know what kind of medication he may or may not be on. I'm not saying dentures. I just think, when older folks get tired, they have some physical things that can happen to them. I mean, Rich.
You're so brave when you're not 70 miles away.
I love you, man. 844.
He's a trash talker even to your face.
789.
Better say the phone number one more time, old man. People didn't hear you.
967-2789. Kurt from Madison. You're up. Welcome, Kurt. What do you got for us?
Hey, Kurt.
Hey, the only thing Elon was missing with his was the it's pathetic. I mean, all I could see is those two guys. I can't remember the cartoons with the doofuses. That was them, Elon and Trump.
Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah.
You're the greatest. You're the greatest, Trump.
I say someone that was computer skills could easily take that audio and then add in the Beavis and Butthead lines, and then that would be a work of art.
I'll have to tune in for the Daily Show and Stephen Colbert tonight. Someone with a crew of people and not just Rich trying to lightly screen your phone call, Kurt.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right,
man.
thank you.
Thanks for listening.
Mark from the SAC. You will wrap up this segment. What do you got for us, Mark?
Hey, Mark.
Yeah, for Trump, all the declines, I think, are all of the above. I mean, I think Trump is declining in so many different ways that it's going to be amusing and terrifying to watch at the same time. And did I hear you refer to Elon Musk as one of Trump's fluffers now?
I think he is.
Because
it was the worst interview I've ever heard, Mark. And we've done a few interviews, and Dom's been around for like 13 years. I've heard some bad interview questions. But at least Dom asked questions. Mark, there were no questions. There was just, yeah. That was like his interview style.
Yeah, apparently that's what Trump needs to perform, and that along with other medications. But anyway, that's a good program.
Right on.
Thank
I'm
you,
assuming
sir.
you're talking about the greatest show ever, the Devil's Advocates radio show. You're not talking about whatever that Elon Musk, Donald Trump Twitter thing was last night. I'm assuming you're talking about this, though. Well, we appreciate you listening. And folks, we're going to take more of your phone calls at the other side of this break. And then our friend, John Nichols from the Nations, is going to join us at 5 o'clock. And we'll talk to him. And we'll take more of your calls. And we'll have all sorts of other conversations. And I'll talk. And Crute will say, yeah. The hell?
Can we talk about Eric Hudvey suing TV stations for running an ad?
Yes, please.
He didn't like the ad, I guess.
I don't like that. They're mean to me when I'm running for Senate. Of what state? Oh, Wisconsin. That's right.
Hope he doesn't sue us. We've said all kinds of mean things. More devils.
The American dream is dead.
Portably reach the whole state, Chicago, Minneapolis, and our nationwide stream audience today. The Devil's
13th, with constitutional ballot questions, a U.S. Senate race, contested congressional primaries, and new legislative maps. This fall, Wisconsin decides.
Be a voter? Then tune to your local Civic Media radio station for coverage you won't find anywhere else.
I'm News Director Terry Bell. When the polls close at 8, our news team will bring you results from all over Wisconsin.
Election coverage live, Tuesday, August 13th at 8.
On your local Civic Media radio station and streaming on the app.
You're listening to the radio show your mother warned you about, The Devil's Advocates.
And welcome back to the Devil Advocates Radio Show, 844-967-2789. John Nichols from The Nation, from the Cap Times, is going to join us in the Happier Happy Hour. He's got an article today out at the Cap Times. He's feeling real good about Kamala Harris in the state of Wisconsin.
I'm feeling great about Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, top of the ticket. I'm feeling less well about the constitutional referendums on today's partisan primary ballot. And the fine listeners of this program know, Dom, they know by now. Vote no, vote twice. Well, vote no twice on your ballot. Don't vote twice. That sounds very Republican.
Vote no on both questions.
Yes, thank you for clarifying my thoughts, Dom. Elon.
Yeah.
That was a terrible interview. Here's the other rich guy I wanted to talk about for just a minute. That Eric Hudby guy. You ever hear the term chilling prior restraint? When somebody threatens to sue your ass if you say something about him, even the truth? Well, this is his new political tact. And I would point out, as a guy who used to own a little media outlet, if you come after me and sue me, I'm just saying personally, Dom, what sort of coverage do you think you're going to get the rest of the election cycle?
Probably would be not great coverage. It would not be for the benefit of your campaign, if that's your attitude.
It might skew a little negative in the future.
I mean, it may, that can happen.
Well, it's a big deal when it makes the raw story, Dom.
That's never good when Wisconsin or California politicians make the raw story.
Here's the best part about this headline. At least they accuse him of being a Wisconsin Republican. Wisconsin Republican claims campaign ad defamed him and sues TV stations. And I mean multiple TV stations. So the Wisconsin Senate candidate is Eric Hudby, the porn-stachioed one. And he's filed a lawsuit against several local television stations for running an ad from a Democratic Political Action Committee. He sued all of them except one. Wait for it, Dom. The Fox outlet. Fox.
Come on.
Hudby is irate over an ad from the Win Senate PAC, which he claims defamed him, according to WTAQ and WLUK. The two accusations he claims are malicious lies. Here are the statements, Tom. I read them. I don't assert them. I just read them. Hudby's family rigged the system to rake in $30 million in government subsidies and loans, and Hudby is currently sheltering his wealth in shady tax havens around the world. Those were the representations made in the PAC ad. Again, that's not Tammy Baldwin's campaign. That is a independent expenditure PAC. In this case, the Win Senate PAC, trying to win the Senate by, pointing out the negatives about Eric Hudby, the rich guy's record. Now, Politico's newsletter reported in March that during an unsuccessful Senate run in 2012, the aforementioned and litigious Hudby disclosed that he had assets of at least $50 million just in insurance companies based in Bermuda. $50 million in insurance holding in Bermuda, benefiting from not having to pay U.S. corporate taxes, said Politico at the time. Now, Hudby hadn't disclosed his financials yet, the Politico report said at the time. And while the ads aired on WLUK TV Fox 11, they're not named in the suit. Only parent company Sinclair Broadcasting is mentioned for allegations against WVTV TV in Milwaukee. So this is interesting. Sinclair Broadcasting, for those that don't play inside baseball, they're very partisan to the right.
Oh, yes.
They have an agenda. And the individual stations, the individual host may not share that agenda or ideology. Maybe they're just doing their jobs, cashing
Yeah,
their
they are.
paychecks.
They are. But they'll give them the same script over and over on different TV stations in different markets around the country. I've seen the breakdowns of all them saying the same thing. Well, whether or not they personally believe it or not, Sinclair is definitely out there getting the message out.
But their Fox affiliate exempt from getting sued. But you know who else did get sued by Eric Hudvey's campaign? The parent companies of other Green Bay stations, Gray Media for WBAY TV, Nexstar for WFRV TV, and Scripps Media for WGBA and WACY TV. And Hudvey is taking on longtime U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin, a Democrat from Wisconsin, and he will lose. The latest polling, they reference a Bullfinch Group poll, Dom, Baldwin at 50, Hudvey at 41. And I would point out, Dom, this act of suing local television stations because a third-party campaign ad said stuff about you that you don't like, but probably is defendably accurate. And I've had to make some of these decisions before, Dom. I have had to sit in that room and listen to somebody's ad and make a decision. Are they factually accurate? And you know what? I don't hear any lies in this ad.
The PAC behind the ad, Win Senate, told the network, there is absolutely nothing false about the claims in this advertisement. The campaign has no right to silence Win Senate. Your decision to accept the advertisement should remain undisturbed. Undisturbed. Liberal PAC American Bridge also sounded the alarm about hedge funds that stashed hundreds of millions of dollars in the Cayman Islands. So what, you don't have millions of dollars in Bermuda in insurance, or it's just not that amount? I'm wondering where the actual slander is here.
The defamation.
The defamation. Good luck with that.
Yeah,
but
good
hey,
luck with that.
Rich guy, just stick it to the small town TV stations where they're saying stuff you don't like. No, if it's absolutely untrue, if those are false statements, provably false, said with malice, then absolutely you got every right to do it. But for some reason, kind of doubt it. But we'll see.
Well, the term chilling prior restraint, that's when a rich guy uses the power of their wealth to try and squelch the voice of media outlets like the aforementioned Eric Hudvey. That is a dumb idea, sir. I'm just telling you, they ain't going to like you much. More Devil's Advocates. We never liked you. More Devils. John Nichols joins us next.
Civic Media Radio Station or the Civic Media app. You're listening to Mad Radio, WMDX 1580 AM Columbus, W224EG Madison, and always streaming on the Civic Media app.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Voters in 2 more states, Arizona and Missouri, will get to weigh in on abortion access with measures approved for the November ballot.
Missouri Secretary of State confirms that voters there will decide on a constitutional amendment that would enshrine the right to an abortion. This is, of course, one of the states Missouri is with a near total ban on abortion. 14 states have put near total bans on abortion in place since the end of Roe v. Wade. So this would be a real test for this state that has proven to be one of the strictest since the Supreme Court made that decision.
ABC's Elizabeth Schulze. Escalating tensions in the Middle East, leading the Pentagon to send additional military resources to the region. The U.S. is warning that Iran may launch strikes this week against Israel in retaliation for recent assassinations of top Hamas and Hezbollah leaders. Tropical storm Ernesto gaining strength as it moves towards Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. It's not expected expected to directly impact the U.S. This is ABC News.
This news report is sponsored by Wisconsin Capital Management, LLC, serving their clients for 40 years. Visit wiscap.com.
Civic Media News. I'm Terry Bell. Here's what Wisconsin needs to know. Today's partisan primary election day is the first time voters are casting ballots under new boundaries for Wisconsin's Senate and Assembly districts. Wisconsin Elections Commission Administrator Megan Wolf.
I have not heard a lot of contact from voters expressing any sort of confusion, but certainly if voters have those types of questions, there are some really good resources.
Wolf recommends myvote.wi.gov. Election night coverage on most Civic Media radio stations and online begins tonight at 8. Attendance at this year's Wisconsin State Fair set a record. The State Fair Board says 1.1 million people came through the gates in West Dallas. That's about 6,500 more people than last year. I'm Terry Bell, Civic Media News. Now, here's what you need to know closer to home.
This is news from WMDX Madison. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. Nearly a dozen Madison public schools will get federal money for more learning outside school hours. The Department of Public Instruction awarded over $6 million to 57 community learning centers in Wisconsin. This money will be used to reinforce the things students learn during the school day and offer them a connection with adults and peers. In the Madison Metropolitan School District, grant money will go to 5 elementary schools, 4 middle schools, La Follette High School, and New West Ramundo Community School. And the Madison Lakeway development is really starting to take shape. This is the master plan to develop 1.7 miles of the Lake Monona shoreline along John Nolan Drive. The Lakeway project manager told WMTV this will be a long process, but it'll bring so much to the residents of Madison. The first phase of this project is set to start in 2027. Of course, it's also primary day, so cast your ballot if you haven't already. And that's what you need to know. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson, and this is WMDX News.
The Brewers and Dodgers continue. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. Baseball tonight. Brewers and Dodgers game 2 of a 4-game series with Colin Ray against LA's right-hander Gavin Stone. 37-year-old Clayton Kershaw led the Dodgers to a 5-2 win last night at AmFam Field. Kershaw allowing just 1 run in 5 2/3 innings. Manager Pat Murphy.
He's a consummate pitcher, like this guy is Hall of Famer for a reason. He'd be the first to tell you his stuff isn't as good, but yeah, I haven't seen our young guys respond that way. The moment was a lot, and a little surprised, but Kershaw was great. He deserves everything he's going to get in this game.
NFL, the Packers holding practice before heading to Denver to play the Broncos. Lucas Van Ness had 3 tackles and a quarterback sack in the win over the Browns and was asked if he's feeling more comfortable in the Packers' new 4-3 defense.
Comfortable is not a good word to use just because, again, you're fighting for your job. You never want to be comfortable because it's always, you're growing and you're trying to get to the next position.
That's Lucas Van Ness with sports. I'm Mike Clemens.
This is your hometown radio, refreshed, keeping you informed, entertained, and connected locally across the Civic Media Network.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Partly cloudy tonight, a low around 60. An increase in clouds for tomorrow, chance of showers and storms in the late afternoon and evening. High low 80s. More rain around Wednesday night and Thursday. Highs in the upper 70s. Drying out for later Friday into the weekend. Right now it's 80.
Is doing it yourself not working out? Don't need the whole building for your business anymore? Call Alta's Commercial Real Estate. They'll help you find quality tenants to fill your vacancies. They market, they show, they negotiate the terms. They do all the legwork and keep you informed. Call Alta's Commercial Real Estate at 608-338-1101. 608-338-1101.
Wisconsin Capital Management in Madison is a registered investment advisory firm and has been serving their clients for the past 40 years. The firm is focused on providing investment advisory services to its affiliated mutual funds. Their approach to investment management is designed to provide competitive performance over the entire business cycle. Their clients rely on them to manage their assets through the fluctuations of market cycles, and they strive to outperform over the long term. For information, visit wiscap.com.
The John and Gordy Show.
On our next show, we'll be back at Short Stack Eatery, and we'll have Wisconsin Dells tickets to give away.
And a primary recap.
Join us.
Weekday mornings 6 until 8. Radio 92.7 WMDX. The Devil's Advocates radio show is broadcast under a time brokerage agreement between Devil Radio and Civic Media Inc. Some portions of this program may be pre-recorded. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves and corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. Now live from the Civic Media Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
And now, here's your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show, partisan primary, Tuesday edition, happy hour. Rolling into it. It's a lot of alliteration for the top of the hour.
Well
Thank
done,
God
Michael.
we got a fine guest and a journalist, John Nichols. And someone asked on the text line, am I mispronouncing Eric Hudvey on purpose? No, I butcher names sincerely. There's no malicious intent here. If I'm saying his name wrong, I didn't mean to do that. I just can't say his name. John Nichols. I think I got that right. Welcome back to the show, sir.
Hey, John.
Fine journalist.
Yeah, you gotta stop calling him Hubdillah.
What I call him?
Hubdillah.
Hubdillah. I didn't quite get that.
La. See, it's a
yeah.
Kamala joke. It's Trump mispronouncing Kamala's name.
I got you. All right. I see
Yeah,
what you
he's
did
had
there,
all
John.
sorts of
Man,
weird
I was
combos.
We're so far ahead of the joke here that it came around backwards. Obviously.
But John, it's not a joke for me. I sincerely butcher names, man. I'm not trying to be malicious. I just never
totally
learned how to
respect
speak.
you. Well, you're a Wisconsinite, you know, and as we well understand, the south side of Milwaukee, right, which is one of the most incredible things ever. I remember working at Mainstream Records on the south side of Milwaukee when I was a kid, and the show Great White North was on Saturday Night Live, right? You had the two guys, the Canadian guys.
Take off, you horsehead.
Yeah.
Right. And that accent was indistinguishable from the south side of Milwaukee.
I've been to Sarge's bar. That's all I can speak to on the south side. John Nichols, I was in Eau Claire, and I spent a little bit of time in a bar that night, but I saw you at a Kamala Harris rally. We were AI'd in with like 12, 15,000 other people.
Yeah, great
and
technology.
The band there that day, John, I can't say its name either. It's like Bon Iver.
Bon Iver.
Bon Iver.
See,
Bon
I
Iver.
didn't even get it right. And people tried to
Just say
teach
the
me,
guy,
John.
The lead singer is Justin Vernon. You can say that.
I can, and I did get to see the guy. They actually brought the presidential, well, future presidential motorcade, right to my hotel, right out in front. He apparently is an investor there. They went to the local store right by the Oxbow Hotel, where I happened to have fleed the Kamala rally. I drove hard because we had a little radio show to get to. And John, I came away from that rally that day just full of energy and inspired. And I felt like the entire tone of this race has changed. And I've started seeing it in some of the polling, John, but you can feel it on the streets. You feel it at these rallies. And I see it in the article you wrote at the Cap Times today. You certainly feel it as well, do you not, John?
Without a doubt. Look, I think it was one of the writers for Time Magazine. They have a pretty remarkable cover image of Kamala Harris, and they have a big article on her. And I think the title is The Reintroduction of Kamala Harris, i.e. people are getting to know her anew. And what they say in the article, and I think it's spot on, is that never in modern history have we felt the vibe of a campaign, the character of a campaign, change so rapidly, right? And I'll remind you that, for instance, with Barack Obama, who was, a hugely influential candidate and a very popular campaign, a campaign that caught people's imagination, it took him months to kind of get to this point. And even after the Democratic convention, he wasn't at the level, in many senses, that Harris has already gotten to before the convention. Then, if you want an additional kind of element, when the Harris people started rolling out this campaign just shortly after Joe Biden decided to hand off the presidency, they did something very cautious. They came to the Milwaukee area. And Wisconsin is obviously the focal point state for the whole presidential campaign, the biggest battleground state. And so they came to the Milwaukee area, and they initially scheduled into a small spot, a relatively small space. They got so many people wanting to come, they moved up to the big high school in West Dallas, right? And they filled that, and that looked very, very good. But they clearly had undershot. And that has turned out to be the case ever since. They have yet to find a venue that they can't fill. Now, I know that Donald Trump will say that's because of AI, but the reality is this is a campaign that even in itself doesn't fully understand its potential, right? Where it's headed. Now, that doesn't mean she's going to win by a landslide. It doesn't mean it's going to be Roosevelt in 36 or Johnson in 64 or something that's so overwhelming it transforms our politics. But it does hold out the potential, I think, that she could have a win on the level of Barack Obama in 2012, where he won very comfortably for re-election, carried Ohio and Iowa, as a matter of fact, and also helped a lot of Senate candidates come across the line. And so if that's the case, if Harris really does move to that point, for the nature of our politics today, because our politics has been so deeply divided with both parties, these behemoth parties kind of handing off control of the White House, handing off control of the House, handing off control of the Senate, kind of all over, very scattered. If Harris could actually pull off a 52%, 52% win with a slight expansion of control of the Senate, maybe, win the sitting senators and pick up perhaps Florida and something else, and then also get a good, clean victory in the House. This is like, it's unimaginable how we moved this much space in this short amount of time.
Our fine guest, he is John Nichols. And John, Milwaukee, Minnesota. Laura Ingraham and I know it well, but I do.
Too. Yeah.
I do have a question.
You know what I wanted to check out, though? Can you clarify this for me? I got to look on my map quick. There might be a Milwaukee, Minnesota. I don't know. Maybe Laura Ingraham knows something we don't know.
It's on one of the lakes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like out someplace kind of west of Austin, or someplace like that. I don't know.
Western Minnesota. John, real quick.
I'm not going to beat her up. Yeah.
Because I'm taking all Dom's time. I'm stealing from him now. But it has also been amazing that they're really running a hopey, changey, kind of joyous campaign that is not really predicated on a lot of specifics yet. They're kind of running her as a generic Dem, John. And I don't think that's a bad thing. There's not enough time for her opponent to fully misconstrue her policy choices if she won't put out her policy choices. We know what she's for.
How wrong you are, my friend. They can misconstrue it even if she doesn't say anything. And in fact, they have been, right? They're going to make stuff up no matter what. So what she is doing at this point is running as essentially continuity for Biden, right? And continuity for Biden is not a bad thing, right? We have a pretty good economy. There's a lot of other things that are decent. I would like to see a shift in the Gaza policy, a stronger shift in the Gaza policy. I'd like to see a few other changes. But what she's doing is continuity. And at this point, this is the thing people need to understand. The only reason the Biden-Trump race was close is because people, like 2/3 of Americans, had real doubts about whether Biden could do the job. That's a painful reality. The polling shows that there was just an awful lot of people that had real doubts about Biden. Once you pull Biden out and put somebody else in, basically the American people would prefer the Biden agenda to, one day of dictator with Donald Trump.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Our friend John Nichols from the Cap Times and the Nation magazine. John, it's always a pleasure. I want to get your sense on the whole AI thing. When this thing came out, I was like, Donald Trump's was freaking losing it. But even Bernie Sanders put out there that it's like, well, he might be crazy, but he's not stupid. And this is really essentially more of a continuation of the, laying the groundwork for if he loses the election for sowing doubt. And this seems to be, I mean, he was doing this back in 2020, John. This hasn't really changed as a strategy for Donald Trump. What's your sense on this AI thing, and how important do you think this, what's obviously strange, weird comment, is actually part of his plan?
Yeah, look, one of the things is I never underestimate Donald Trump. I wrote a piece back in March of 2016 saying that he could be elected president of the United States. Nobody took it seriously then, and even I started to doubt myself after all the crazy stuff came out. But the bottom line is the guy has political skills, whether you like him or not. That's, he's got a strategy. He's playing it. It may not be the right strategy, may not be a smart strategy even, but it is a strategy. What he's doing with AI is pretty clear. He is accusing the Republicans of faking up crowd size at their rallies, right? So that when or accusing the Democrats, accusing the Democrats of faking up crowd size, right?
Yeah.
So that when the Republicans do that, then he'll say, oh, come on, when I said it, you guys all laughed at me, but now when the Democrats do it, you believe it, right? He's trying to sow a chaos and a confusion about the energy of campaigns, about, who's got the center of gravity. The reason he's doing that is because he knows he's going to lose the popular vote overwhelmingly now because of Harris's popularity, and very likely lose the Electoral College. So yes, there is no question he is setting up to play that game. The only way to undo it, right? The only way to push back against it is for Harris to run a 50-state strategy and go for the biggest popular vote win possible, so that everybody across the country knows in their own heart that she has won. She can't run a narrow campaign. She's got to run a very broad campaign.
John, what would the mega crowd be saying if Joe Biden got up and started saying, hey, those rallies that Donald Trump is having is full of AI? They call him a crazy old man. How come there's not that kind of consistency on the mega side?
Well, because we've known Trump was crazy for a very long time. He's gone from being a crazy young man to a crazy middle-aged man, now a crazy old man. And so we're settled into it, right? Also, one thing to remember is our media, after 9 years of Trump presidential politics, still doesn't know how to deal with the guy.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know whether to ignore him, whether to take him seriously, whether to try and take apart every lie, whether to counter this, counter that. They are painfully inept when it.
Sorry to cut you short, John. Hold on tight. We'll get more of your opinions on the other side. Just don't handle them like Elon did.
We're giving away 4 tickets to the Brewers game and 4 tickets so you can be at the world premiere
September 13th. Join us on Thursday.
The Todd Alba Show, weekdays noon till 2.
Charged, never convicted. The Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. John Nichols, national correspondent from The Nation magazine, locally here at the Cap Time, is sticking around for one more segment. John, thank you for doing so. John wrote an article, his opinion piece, Kamala Harris is looking like a winner in Wisconsin. I share your sentiment there, John. In your piece, you mentioned something I'm interested in, the alternative candidates. You mentioned in 2016, 188,000 Wisconsinites backed a third-party candidate, and that fell to 57,000 less than in 2020. Then you articulate a bunch of candidates are going to be on the ballot this year. I guess I didn't realize there would be that many third-party candidates. John, what's your sense on what's going to happen in this election cycle regarding the third-party candidates?
I don't think they're going to do very well. And I'm not, happy or sad. My sentiment is that I wish we had a multi-party democracy. I wish we had more alternatives on the ballot, because I think that would make for more interesting, more dynamic politics. But the reality is that we have a two-party system. And the only time that our alternative parties do particularly well is when the choice for the two major parties is a disappointing one, or one that people aren't satisfied with. That happened with Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump in 2016. A lot of people went to the alternative parties, the Libertarians, the Greens, the others, because they simply didn't like that choice. In 2020, I apologize, it was a clearer choice, right? Biden versus Trump. People had a better sense of Trump, so the third-party vote went down. I think that this year will be a lot like 2008, when the third parties got very, very small numbers of votes, because the choice between Obama, who was quite popular, and McCain, who had his own appeal, was clear enough that people, they were satisfied with the two major parties. I think the Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump choice will be one that, people just divide up on so clearly. And so I don't think the third parties are going to get as many votes.
John Nichols, our fun guest. But John, you underestimate perhaps the bro power of Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan came out and said he really likes Kennedy, kind of backed off, said, well, it's not an endorsement, but I really like Kennedy. And my thought is this, John. I think any appetite for the third party, for the conspiracy theorist Robert Kennedy Jr., is going to drain support away from the MAGA. Am I wrong about this, sir?
No, you're 100% right. And in fact, this is the interesting dynamic. Trump, again, who isn't stupid, he actually knows politics, or he doesn't know politics per se, but he knows how to, defend himself. He's very conscious of that. He's always been uncomfortable with this Kennedy candidacy. There's some evidence that he even tried to convince Kennedy to drop out, perhaps with an offer of a cabinet position or something like that, although I'm not sure whether that actually happened or the extent to which that occurred, but the rumors float around. Why is Trump so concerned about Kennedy? Because Kennedy is kind of working that same turf as a younger, more, in some ways, more energetic candidate. And so I think for Trump, that's a very problematic situation. I think that if Biden was still in the race, there's no question that Kennedy might pull some from the Democratic side as well. But with Biden out of the race, I don't think, and Harris in, I don't think Kennedy's votes is going to be that substantial. In fact, I think he's the candidate who has been most hurt by the arrival of Kamala Harris in the race. And my sense is that he's also been severely damaged by his own storyline, right? By the stuff that's come out, this thing about the bear. And, like, did you see the interview? Did you see the interview?
Yeah.
I saw the video with Roseanne Barr. When you're going to Roseanne to confess your sins, something is amiss.
Where somebody was asking him, because there was some accusation that he had eaten a dog, right?
Yeah.
and there was some accusation that, like or some claim, what he would eat all sorts of things, right? And it was a suggestion that, is pretty crazy, right? And they said, is there anything you wouldn't eat? And Kennedy said, well, I wouldn't eat a human.
At least he's got limits, John. Our fine guest.
If you're running for president and you feel a need to say that, my argument is that you've already kind of put yourself in a place where a lot of voters are going to look elsewhere.
Yeah, but if you've been to a Trump rally and you've heard him hailing the late great Hannibal Lecter, you maybe want to distinguish.
Now you're opening up a whole new avenue for this race. Okay, so let me clarify a couple things, right? I'm not sure what the Trump-Kennedy relationship is, or to the extent that they talk at all. I just don't know. I don't know whether Kennedy, would like a place in a Trump cabinet. I don't know if Trump might offer Kennedy that, all this flurries of rumors about. I don't know anything about that. But I do know, once again, if they are competing for the votes of those who might or might not engage in cannibalism, I think they may be marginalizing themselves. There's a possibility that they're over on the edge of the bar politics, not at the mainstream.
John, I'm going to put you down for no on cannibalism, but let me ask you, a couple of constitutional referendums on the state ballot today's election day in the state of Wisconsin. John, I feel like the right's trying to boonswoggle the electorate into voting yes. What's your opinion, sir? Got like a minute here, John.
Look, we have a constitution set up in the state of Wisconsin. It's got a system of checks and balances, right? A simple system of checks and balances. And under that system, once money is allocated at the federal or state levels, the governor gets to, do the distribution. That's smart because it makes it quick and efficient, does what needs to be done. The logical vote for anyone, Republican, Democrat, liberal, or conservative, is no and no.
Well said, John Nichols. You're so smart. You probably pronounce names correctly and everything.
I think I got Justin Vernon down.
John, are we going to see you down at the DNC next week?
Yeah, I'll be there. All week long. Tip your waitresses.
We'll be there. We'll be partying. That's the great thing about the DNC compared to the RNC.
Right.
First, you work hard all day, and then, John, you party all night with the Democrats.
Can I just tell you something, though? I like the RNC. I had no trouble with that. I even got a picture with Lauren Boebert. I just think it's an interesting event.
Well, if you're hanging out with Lauren Boebert, I guess it was. Thank you, John.
No, she's very respectable. She is very respectable.
I've never found her to be so, and I met her in D.C. Thanks, John. Be well. See you at the DNC. More Devil's Advocates on the other side. Should you stay or should you go? You should stay and vote no twice, but not till after 6.
Thanks, John.
Should I stay or should I go?
Civic Media News. Here's what you need to know closer to home. This is news from WMDX Madison. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. It's primary election day. Polls are now open until 8 o'clock tonight. 288,000 people have already voted early across Wisconsin, a trend we're seeing more and more of since the pandemic began. One of the big races in Dane County is for county executive to replace Joe Parisi. On top of that, in our area, there are elections in the 47th and 78th Assembly Districts, and then there are primaries in the 48th and 77th Assembly Districts. In the Senate, there's a primary in the 16th District. And statewide, everyone will vote on 2 constitutional amendments. Remember, there's no separate special ID you need to vote, but the most common one is a state-issued driver's license or ID card. The DMV is going to be open late tonight. They usually close at 4:45, but DMVs will stay open until 6 p.m. so you can get any proof of ID you may need. And that's what you need to know. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson, and this is WMDX News.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. Nick Cannon says he would love to get back together with his first and only wife, Mariah Carey, and he told E! News they belong together. Problem? He says she doesn't want him. The couple divorced in 2016 after 8 years of marriage. Cannon is the host of several shows, including The Masked Singer. But despite a crazy busy schedule, he still found time to sire most of the children born in America over the last 2 decades, including 2 with Carey. Fans of Colin Jost's Wiki feed page will have to wait for some new material. The SNL cast member was covering the Olympic surfing competition when he cut his foot on a coral reef and developed a staph infection, which then became an ear infection. Injury aside, the news from Tahiti wasn't all bad for Jost. While recuperating, it was announced he will host the new Jeopardy spinoff, where foot injuries are few and far between. For more showbiz fun, tune in to Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 7 to 9 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Enjoying this local program? Find the complete Civic Media lineup at civicmedia.us or the Civic Media app.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Partly cloudy tonight, a low around 60. And increasing clouds for tomorrow, chance of showers and storms in the late afternoon and evening. High low 80s. More rain around Wednesday night and Thursday. Highs in the upper 70s. Drying out for later Friday into the weekend. It's 82 right now.
It is one of the most important business decisions you will make, selling your commercial building. It should involve making a plan to maximize your sale price through effective and responsive marketing. Your plan should also include a clear understanding of tax consequences. You need the professionals at Altus Commercial Real Estate to guide your success. Experience and responsive professionals make all the difference. Make your plan to sell. Call Altus Commercial Real Estate today at 608-338-1101. DevilRadioSwag.com. You've asked for it for over a decade. We finally gotten off our dead and responded. DevilRadioSwag.com. T-shirt in Dom's favorite slimming black, white, or gray. DevilRadioSwag.com. Crew necks, hoodies, coffee mugs, exclusive merchandise of the greatest radio show ever. Only at the DevilRadioSwag.com, because we got bills too.
Maggie Dawn.
Next up, I've got the chair of the Wisconsin Democratic Party, Ben Wickler. We'll be talking about the DNC and the implosion of the GOP. Don't miss it.
The Maggie Dawn Show, weekday afternoons at 2.
So much to do, there's plenty on the farm. I'll sleep when I'm dead.
I don't know if you know the Devil's Advocates, but the show is kind of a big deal.
I'll sleep when I'm dead.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. We'll sleep when we're dead. It's a happier happy hour. We're rolling through it. Want to thank our most recent guest, a fun one, our friend John Nichols from The Nation, from the Cap Times locally. Thank you, John. Dom, tomorrow we got another friend joining us, a little longer distance. Bill Press, right?
Yep.
What time's Bill joining tomorrow?
Bill will be on at 5 p.m. Central tomorrow. He's also going to be going to the DNC. We'll try to hook up with him when we are there as well. Look forward to catching up once again with Bill.
And don't forget, you all need to catch up with the Devil's Advocates live from Chi-Town, going to Chicago all next week. We will be doing our live show 4 to 6 p.m. So our Madison listeners will be a little disappointed, Dom, because we're starting at 4 and we're going till 6. And then we'll get a brief, let's call it a dinner break. And then we'll be anchoring coverage on WCPT 820 AM, KTNF 950 AM. Those are Chicago and Minneapolis stations, and your favorite stations here on the Civic Media Network. And we're going to incorporate a lot of our fine Civic Media friends, some of the hosts from WCPT, guys like Bill Press. It's going to be an extravaganza. So 4 to 6, Devil's Advocates, as you're used to hearing us. And then 7 to close, let's call it Dom, close of business.
Yeah.
When the DNC's done for the night, we're done on the radio for the night. And Dom, I have not verified, but pretty sure it's a standard double.
Okay, good to know. We're not sleeping in the same bed. Those aren't pillows,
No.
Crute.
Those aren't pillows. 844-967-2789. Now, we've got a few less reasonable conservative friends, but I find Mark to be a very reasonable conservative most days. Don't press your luck, Mark, but welcome to the show. What do you got for us?
Hey, Mark.
Well, first of all, thanks for taking my call. I guess I heard two words from your guest, continuity and reintroduction. So the continuity of the Biden administration, I guess that's complete opposite of what she's running on, because now she's for fracking. She wants to clean up the border. She wants to refund the police or actually defend the police. She's all about Israel.
I haven't seen a whole lot of but Mark, I got to tell you, man, I know you're saying those things, but I haven't seen her lay out a policy platform yet.
Well, I would say there were.
I know.
Here's the great news, Mark. She's kicking your guy's ass, and she hadn't even staked a claim to anything yet. I mean, think when she actually sits down and debates the man on September 10th. Man, Trump, have you seen rambling Trump? Did you listen to Elon last night? Because I'll readily admit, candidate Harris, whatever her prior role was, yes, there are certain issues that she's matured on or changed on or moderated on, Mark, like lots of candidates do. What did Mitt Romney do after he won the primary? He shook it clean, right? Etch-a-sketched his way, moderated towards the middle. Don't be shocked when people do that after their conventions, Mark. I mean, your guy's just not smart enough to do it.
Press conference?
What's that?
So we know. Will she take a press conference so we know?
Buddy, I listened to the general press conference at Mar-a-Lago last week, Mark. If that's what your guy does,
he's willing to do it.
Yeah, but what
that
about
wasn't
Mark,
a press conference,
if I may,
dude. That was friendly fire.
Mark, let me ask you a couple of questions, and I certainly appreciate you listening, calling, and joining the political party with us. When Donald Trump stands up and says to you and to the world that Kamala Harris is using AI to generate her crowds in Wisconsin and the Midwest, and saying nobody's there, literally nobody's there, busted. What's your reaction to that? If Joe Biden would have stood up and said, Donald Trump, these are not real crowds at Donald Trump's places, you've been calling him a crazy old man, Mark. What do you say it when your guy says that?
Well, I would say that Donald Trump has the ego of an idiot, first of all, and I don't agree with him on that. However, what I would say is that, again, she won't even address anybody, the press. It can't even.
And she's winning anyways. Have you considered that they don't care that you want her to go take a press conference? This has been a political strategy. Running as a generic Dem, a hope and change Dem, is working.
Crute, I want to know what her stance are.
You don't care? You're not going to vote for her, Mark?
Man.
Come on, man.
What would you do if I'm going to understand your position?
Wait. I want to hear what.
No, I know. I want to say this, Mark.
I told her this morning that I might actually vote for her because she sounds like a Republican.
I don't believe you, but it's nice of you to say, Mark.
No, because of everything she stands for. No,
she's not a Republican, Mark.
Almost to the point.
Here's
I know she's not a Republican, but everything she says, and I said to Earl, I go, well, then if I was a Democrat, I would be very upset on everything that
I care how she governs after she wins, Mark. You know what? I'm looking forward to a very progressive Harris administration. But until then, I'm okay if she runs as a generic Hopi changey Dem, because your guy is running a very dark, desperate, flailing campaign. And all my girl's got to do is be joyous compared to your guy. And she's flipping all the polls, Mark. Your guy's desperate.
Hey, you think she could sit down with Elon Musk and have a
Why
conversation?
would she? That was. Yeah. Yeah, I think she could.
Sit down with
Putin.
Korea.
She wouldn't fluff either of those two guys. That's one thing I will assure you about my candidate is she is not going to kiss either of their asses. What's that, Mark?
I'm scared to death about that.
Mark, so let me ask you a question before we let you go. We have other callers holding. You think that Donald Trump in Helsinki, when he went against the intelligence agencies, when he went against the United States and said,
I don't know why he would, though,
and said that Putin didn't do those things, do you think that was standing up to Putin, or was that kissing his ass, Mark?
Well, I don't know what it's kissing his ass, but I know that
it was.
He has ability to control Putin more than Putin controls him.
He gave the guy a hand job, Mark.
Come
Let's call
on,
a spade
man.
a spade.
He's got the abilities. Well, what kind
Sorry,
of
man,
abilities,
I gotta cut you
man?
off there.
Appreciate you playing along, man. Come on, though, man. He doesn't have any secret abilities to control the despots he so desperately idolizes. You know what I'm saying? He loves these guys, Mark. He loves Putin. He loves Kim Jong Un or Il. Or
he was talking
guy's
about
in there.
that last night with Elon.
Yeah,
how much he loves me. He sent me love letters. I called him Little Rocket Man, and now he loves me.
He loves China. He's a real strong leader. When he walks in, everyone stands up. Well, yeah, because what? In this country, we don't have to stand up, Mark. We don't got to do a damn thing. But if Trump has his way, he'd make you stand up or he'd shoot you in the head. Because isn't that what the dictators do? He has no control over those folks. He kisses their ass. He wants to be them. Dictator for a day, Mark. Come on, man.
844-967-2789. Jeff on the text line wants to know, Mark, can he have some of what you're smoking? Wisco Paul, you're next. Welcome. What do you got for
Hey,
us?
Paulie, what's happening?
After listening to your last caller, it's a little hard to. Don't forget about the P-tape, and that's a fact. And sometimes I wonder.
That hasn't been proven, but it hasn't been proven that J.D. Vance had sex with that couch either, but it hasn't been disproven.
That's right.
There you go. Hey, that's totally awesome. At any rate, I don't. Sometimes I have a hard time with the Trumpsters. You can't really argue with them, but I see them in action for 4 years, and I don't want to. And in the last 4 years, I just want them to go away. And Kamala is gonna crank them, man.
You know what? But a guy like
already.
Wisco, in my opinion, a guy like Mark has the intelligence and the reasonableness. Whenever Trump isn't also ran, perhaps sitting in a penal colony somewhere, I think that Mark may at some point just become another tax cut Republican, get mine, don't care unless it happens to my family. I mean, that's what many Republicans are. They don't show a ton of empathy, but if it happens to their family, then they can be sympathetic to that cause. But I think there are a lot of people that will move on from Trump. But you know what? Trump ain't moving on even if he loses, Paul. He's not moving on. He's firmly got the grasp of the entire base, right? So whatever Trump wants to do, he won't be the president in the future, but he will be a malicious actor with this base, or he'll end up in prison. I hope it's the latter, Paulie.
Couldn't it be both?
That's too bad because it'd be both would be fine too. Hey, I'm going to move on to something else. Voted no and no.
Excellent.
And
well done, sir.
It's very reassuring, Paulie. You got the message.
Well, yeah, I got the message, and I don't want Voss to have any more power. Let's see, because this is all about him, Robin. And
you know what? If we win the assembly this year, the Democrats win assembly control, Paulie, there won't be a Robin Voss. He'll be the assembly minority leader, or worse.
He can go cry a river with Trump. Then that'll be totally awesome. That'd be. Hey, that'll make my day. I'll be drinking a lot of Spotted Cow in November. What is it, 2nd, 6th, or whatever? So, all right, boys, great show today. Thanks for taking my call as always.
Right on,
Thank you,
Paulie.
Paulie.
Appreciate you calling, man.
We're not quite done with the show yet. The rest of you don't.
2789.
Paulie's already heading to the bar on us. You can tell. Feeling good. Feeling good. Here's John Nichols describe how well Kamala Harris is doing. Anyone that listened to that lispy, and I didn't hear the lispiness at the beginning of the interview with Trump and Elon.
Yeah.
But oh my God, suffering succotash. Trump sounded like Mike Tyson after he got punched in the mouth. And that's going to be used against him in every campaign ad. And it should be. The guy sounded, it was very disconcerting.
Well, I mean, it's a legitimate question. Is there a health problem going on? I mean, if he was just tired, perhaps that's a thing, as mentioned. I don't know. But he was very distinctly slurring his words, man. It's like talking to you at midnight.
He called it was his head bobbing?
Yeah.
They called it a conversation with the nation. And I'm thinking only those dumb enough, and I include myself in that number, to go on the broken down Twitter spaces and listen to an audio-only interview that sounded like a couple of dudes doing a podcast in the garage, dude. And one guy was Beavis. And the other guy was like your narcissistic, rambling neighbor who lies about his golf game and his heroism and every other damn thing. And the other guy was like Flavor Flav to Chuck D. Yeah, boy. 844-967-2789. The correct answer is no and no on the constitutional referendum. If you haven't voted, go out and just go vote no twice. And then if you want to have a little fun, go vote on the Republican side. A lot of people are dipping a toe in the Barbin pool. I've been seeing that on the text line. 844-967-2789. Steve from Milwaukee, if you hold tight, you will be next. CJ, if you hold tight, maybe, but probably not.
Just keep
I'm
hoping.
just telling you, I'm betting against you today.
You never know what can happen. Miracles can happen.
No, today the answer is no.
No.
I know the answer, it's no, CJ, but you can keep holding. But the answer, it's no. Let me know on the text line, should we take CJ's call? It's the same thing. You should vote on the referendum. Both of them. No and no.
Come back with us. Vice presidential candidate Tim Walz, the governor from Minnesota. He was speaking at the AFSCME 46th Annual International Convention. We have some sound. We'll bring that to you as well.
Solo event.
Yeah, man. And JD Vance is coming to Milwaukee Friday, but we're not going. Folks, you can join us 844-967-2789. It's a text. It's a call. It's how you party with the Devil's Advocates.
Are you going to JD Vance? No.
No.
And no.
Every business seeks an advantage, whether it's having the best location, hiring top talent, or spotting trends before they happen. And now, the United States Postal Service can give your business a new advantage. Introducing USPS Ground Advantage. Reliable and affordable 2 to 5 day package shipping. It's the advantage you need at the price you want. Get the Ground Advantage at USPS.com/advantage. The United States Postal Service, delivering for America.
Hey, Brad from Zero Res Madison here. What's the best way to clean your carpet? Well, not surprisingly, it's the same way you clean your clothes. You wouldn't clean a dirty shirt by running a white cloth over the top of it, nor would you try to get it clean by sprinkling chemicals and rubbing it in. For a real clean, you need hot water, agitation, and a cleaning agent, just like your laundry. Fresh, healthy clean with no residue. Call Zero Res Madison or schedule online. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
Progressive presents Renter's MVP's Most Valuable Possessions. Today's MVP, Emily Neal's 70-inch TV. Because after watching her second-grade students yell at each other for hours, there's nothing Emily enjoys more than watching super-rich housewives also yell at each other. Why? Because those women are not her responsibility. And that's why her TV is today's MVP. Keep your most valuable possessions protected by bundling your renters and auto insurance with Progressive. Progressive
Wisconsin's fall primary election is Tuesday, August 13th, with constitutional ballot questions, a U.S. Senate race, contested congressional primaries, and new legislative maps. This fall, Wisconsin decides.
Be a voter? Then tune to your local Civic Media radio station for coverage you won't find anywhere else.
I'm News Director Terry Bell. When the polls close at 8, our news team will bring you results from all over Wisconsin.
Election coverage live, Tuesday, August 13th at 8.
On your local Civic Media radio station and streaming on the app.
The Devil's Advocates, radio for the 99%.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show, our last segment of the day. If you got something to say, hit us up on the lines right now at 844-967-2789.
Dom, lots of people on the text line, similar sentiment. I voted no twice. FCJ. Here's another one. No on CJ. Here's another one. Jim, Paul, no to CJ. Tom from New Berlin, no, and no. Jeff from Shorewood, no, etc. on CJ. One WMDX texter says, take the call. You need to spice up Tuesday for dog's sake. I don't know what that means. No, and no. I think the last no there was for you, CJ. Ross from Crawford County says, this is Ross. No to CJ. He never listens. He's just like a nonstop funnel of Trump crap. He never listens. And then we've got a no on JD Vance. Well, we're not going on Friday. I can tell you that. CJ, no, and triple no. And then here's a no on CJ Vance. They've combined it. I like when they do that. So anyways, and oh yeah, and dog, there is no dog. That must be a reference I don't get, but I think it's probably clever. I'm just not clever enough to get it. 844-967-2789. Democracy in action. It's not you, CJ. It's Steve from Milwaukee. Welcome, Steve. What do you got for us?
Hey, Steve.
Hell no on CJ. He's a broken record. I'm tired of hearing his voice. He never listens, like the guy said. But anyway, yeah, the whole Trump call thing, you know, they defend the indefensible all the time. But I think it's funny about his cease and desist letters he's been getting. And he can't play any music except Kid Rock and Ted Nugent, which is kind of limited now.
He never minded just stepping all over music licensing. He's been stealing Elton John and the Rolling Stones. I'm telling you, dude, he's doing it at whatever his next rally is. He'll be butchering the music licensing on at least 4 different artists.
So where are all the lawsuits?
It's interesting. I don't know. I mean, because we can't play music that's not licensed on the radio. We pay licensing, lots of licensing dollars. You do it in the
Even
radio
for your
industry.
bumper music?
What's that?
Just for your bumper music?
Yes, sir. Yeah, if you own a radio station. Now, I should restate, Civic Media now pays those bills, but Dom used to help me calculate that. That was a big deal, even for a news talk station. If you want the cool tunes, you got to pay the price. Trump,
wow, that's
like,
interesting.
Like his typical, just steals it, never pays.
He'll pay you in 2 weeks. Yeah, I thought the family of Isaac
just
Hayes
like
were trying to sue him, or were sending him cease and desist letters.
I think you're right for a change. 844-96. You're right often, Tom. I tease.
No.
844-967-2789. Still no to CJ. Drew from Lake Mills. Welcome. What do you got for us, Drew?
Hey, Drew.
Hey, guys. Hey, just a suggestion. Like, you know how you guys have CJ on hold for, approximately 3 hours or whenever.
1 hour, 11 minutes, and 35 seconds and counting.
He was late today, Drew.
I would make a CJ rule and say if you don't call within the first 5 minutes of us going on the air, you're done. And let's just get him over with. Like, take his call, first 5 minutes, we're done with him, we move on with our day, and then you don't have to worry about him being on hold the whole time. And if he misses his deadline, well, that's his problem, not yours.
Drew, he's always lurking there in the queue, like a baby seal needing a clubbing, if you know what I'm saying.
Like Donald Trump behind Hillary Clinton during the debate.
Yes. Just being a creep. Yeah.
It's hardly weird at all that he tunes in. Well, let's see. CJ, do you perceive yourself as weird for being on hold for such a long time? CJ, you're not even listening today, are you? You blew your big chance, CJ.
He just sits there, it's like the, growing up in the 70s. You just go to the neighbor's house and leave the kids at home and keep the phone off the on the line together so you can hear what's going on.
They're just watching TV together?
Hey, Rich, we do have a couple of bites from Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, Kamala Harris's vice presidential pick. He was speaking at the AFSCME 46th International Annual Convention. Had a couple of things to say, a couple of short clips here, if you would please. Rich, let's hear what the man has to say.
Can you simply picture Donald Trump working at a McDonald's trying to make a McFlurry or something? He knows us. He couldn't run that damn McFlurry machine if it cost him anything, so...
Is that a prerequisite? Because I don't know if I could run the McFlurry machine down.
I think you'd be more apt to figure out than a guy like Donald Trump. Let's go to the next one.
We've got 84 days to take control of our own destiny. 84 damn days. And I've said this, you hear me say this. That's easy. We'll sleep when we're dead. We'll do the work now. Do the work now.
Sleep when we're dead. I've said that for a long, long time.
This show going to wrap up for the evening, Dom, but you're not done. You still got to go vote. No twice. No twice.
No,
if you haven't voted
and
yet.
no.
Vote no and no.
Just say no. I mean, Nancy Reagan made it so easy for us so long ago.
We should have sent out a meme of CJ with no and no on it. And everyone would remember, don't know. No.
No. God, no.
Thank you to our fine guest, John Nichols. He's a good one. Got a fun one tomorrow as well. Our pal Bill Press joining us in the Happier Happy Hour. We'll have all the elective results you need to know. And thank you all that participated in the texting. No and no. And Rich, well done, man. Thanks for all the hard work today. Keep it going.
Thank you, Rich.
Listen tomorrow. We'll do it again in Chi-Town next week.
All right, fellas. See you tomorrow.